This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, aka the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. And then your master gunsmith is Marine veteran Steve Miller. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite 103, Fort Worth, Texas 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. All right, welcome back to Cops One Donut. I'm your host, Eric Levine. My guest today is the old man, Freddie G.
Hello.
Freddie Gilbert. So it's been a minute since I have recorded a podcast. I had the COVID, so
Got the vid?
Yeah.
What?
had the
2 weeks ago?
yeah, about 2 weeks ago. So I didn't want to have anybody in studio because I didn't want them to get sick. We wiped everything down, loused the house, I guess you call it. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah. Santa brought me COVID Christmas Eve.
Yeah. When we had gift exchange and stuff, he's like hiding in the back corner. So I didn't want to get anybody sick, and then it kind of went through the house a little bit. It's been over 2 weeks now, but I just wanted to give it ample time to air out.
Well, I think the country's finally going to realize that instead of playing to so much fear for the COVID, and treat it like the flu and get your flu shot.
Yeah.
They're talking about a second booster for the COVID, which, okay, are we going to keep getting boosters?
Right.
So why not just get...
We get flu shots every year.
Yeah,
well, I do.
Yeah,
I have to. I'm military anyway, so I don't have a choice.
Just get the flu shot. They were talking today, I heard on the radio, about combining the flu shot and the COVID together, so you just get them every year.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you might as well. It would help me because I have to make so many trips for shots anyway. I mean, I have to get the flu shot, I have to get the COVID shot now, and whatever else the military decides that they want to inject me with.
Dude, I just noticed your hair.
It's long. I got to get it cut.
No, you've got that
the hard part
product in it and then it's combed. It's like perfect.
Thanks. Well, you know me, I haven't had hair for fucking years. I haven't had hair since like 2006 when I joined the Air Force.
Yeah.
I've just shaved it.
Now you got to worry about it because you have it.
Well, I made the mistake of growing it out just to try because I haven't done it in so long. And then Sarah really liked it. She was like, "Oh, don't shave your head anymore." She's like, she forgot. So, happy wife, happy life. But, so the last episode I did was with Aaron Dyson, episode 41. If anybody hasn't checked that one out, if you're listening, it's my best episode. He was, wrongly convicted for 24 years and he got out because of his own, on his own. He basically became jailhouse lawyer after all his attorneys gave up and wrote his very last chance, last ditch effort and sent it to the DA, and it worked.
So is it your best podcast or your most interesting, or why did you give it such high accolades? To me,
it's my favorite.
Okay.
And it is the most downloaded and the most watched, other than the one episode with Brandy.
Right.
But I don't really count that because Brandy's episode, she had such a big following on her own that I think that spilled over.
Yeah.
Although it was a great episode, don't get me wrong. To me personally, the one that I was most interested in out of all my episodes, it was that one, just because it's such a good story.
And yet Brandy has a stake in that one.
Yeah,
too.
And she's got a stake in that one too.
Damn bitch.
I know.
Brandy. It's like the Brady Bunch show.
Right.
Where
Marsha.
Every time I turn around, there's Brandy. You know what? I didn't even know this was a thing. I get constantly messages on Facebook. Hey, you've missed 3 posts from Brandy's page.
Oh, yeah. You got to control your notifications.
But that's the only page I get that from.
Oh, I could look at it.
I don't jack with any settings or anything.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at that now.
I just thought that, she's got some kind of mystical powers on that fucking Facebook or social media.
She's hacked your shit.
Yeah,
yeah, that's what happens. That's how she gets her viewers. She's actually hired some Chinese kid across the sea, and he just hacks all her friends.
I thought
list.
he lived in the basement. Her basement.
Does he? I didn't. Maybe.
Oh,
maybe that's how she gets. That's how she gets good grades, being a physician's assistant.
Huh.
I think that's it.
It's all about her.
Yeah, so let me get my notes here. So yeah, check out the latest episode. I haven't had any new episodes because we had COVID, so I apologize for that. I got some new equipment donated. This is the first time using the badass new camera that is actually the same camera that's on Joe Rogan's show. It was donated.
Really? Who donated that?
He wanted to remain anonymous.
Some viewer.
Yeah, a member of the subscriber of the show. He is a veteran, so I'll give him at least that amount. He's friends with several people where I work.
Let me ask you this. Do I know him?
I don't know. You may.
I might know him.
You might know him. I know he's good friends with Nugget and some other guys. But so he donated that, and he donated a desktop computer. So
what?
Yeah. So
did you send him photos of yourself or something?
I offered. He smartly declined. He declined. Yeah. he very intelligently declined that offer. I don't know. I think I look pretty damn good without my clothes on. Well, I just wore my gun belt.
Let's give
for
him
the
a
picture.
Name. Donor, awesome donor. Or?
Let's see. I'll call him BB.
BB?
Yeah, BB. Yeah, we'll call him BB.
Will he know what BB is?
He'll know.
Okay.
He knows.
Congrats, BB.
He actually, it was 2 separate occasions, and he took me out to lunch both times. I bought lunch the first time because I had to give him something.
Right.
And the second time, he brought some other friends with him, some MedStar guys and stuff like that. His son.
Oh, you might. We call it grooming. I think they're grooming you.
Maybe. Might.
So keep your eyes open.
Yeah, I'm very groomable. I'm okay with it. I'm a dirty bitch. But nah, good dude.
Good.
Just one of those guys, heart's in the right place. So, and he likes the show. I can't knock that. So,
right.
But yeah, so that camera, the goal down the line is to get 2 more to replace that one and this one. Because it's just the quality. So we'll see what the quality is like after this. I may have to tweak some settings. Right. So if this looks bad, folks, I apologize. I'm trying to. This is the first time using it. So
you have to wait until after you.
Yeah. I got to edit everything and see how it shows up on the computer. So we did that, and then big announcement: my new website's officially launched. So if you look up 2 Cops, 1 Donut, if you spell it out like that, 2 Cops, 1 Donut, all spelled out, you'll find it. And if you type in the number 2 Cops and the number 1 Donut,
it still goes.
It still goes.
Really?
It goes to the website. So I snagged both domains on that.
Now, did you know how to make a domain or what?
No.
Did you have to get someone to help you?
My niece, Taylor Kanicki. Thank you. She does website design. She made ours on GoDaddy.
Really?
Yeah. So she's new to it. So she's we're figuring it out together.
All right. Now, I know BB wants to remain anonymous, but what about your niece, you said?
Yeah, Taylor.
Taylor?
Yes. She doesn't have like a official anything yet. She's just kind of going by word of mouth. Oh. So if you would like to get hooked up with a website, email me.
Can you flash her picture on your videos and give her a hookup, or is she
I don't know.
Too young?
No, she's old enough. Yeah, she's an adult. I wouldn't know how to do that right now.
Nikki will.
Yeah. So we'll figure it out later. But so we got the website going. Our fundraiser stickers are out there now.
Yeah.
I got the chocolate and the pink. I'm very happy with the stickers. They're 4x4 and they're selling like hotcakes right now. I only ordered 50 of each. So they're doing really well. Yours are right there, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I got yours, so I appreciate your order, sir. You paid for shipping, but there you go.
Just throw an extra one in there.
So you got that. What else? What? They're hefty, aren't they?
Christmas ornaments. Just make a damn Christmas ornament out of plastic or something.
Yeah.
That's kind of, especially the pink one.
Yeah. I could. When we went to Michigan this Christmas, we went to Frankenmuth.
Bonners.
And we went to Bronner's.
Bronner's
with an R.
Yeah. Been a while.
And they had a pink Christmas, like it looks just like my donut. So I bought it.
Would it be safe to say that Bronner's Christmas store, which is 24/7, 365, right?
Yeah, it's the largest Christmas store
and
in
it's
the
probably
world.
The size of what, 3 super Walmarts?
Oh yeah,
or more.
It's ginormous. Like you get tired, like
yeah,
you get tired of walking around.
They should rent those little carts for the handicap.
Yeah, it's big. So we went there and I got that donut, so that was cool. But yeah, please, these are what I'm trying to use since sponsors haven't really come through yet. I'm still working on that. This is what's helping support the show for now. The goal is to eventually start getting some other merchandise like Velcro patches, maybe some challenge coins.
Well, I know you mentioned that you look for sponsors.
Yes.
And you've kind of branched out asking people for some hookups or any ideas.
I've tried to network, yeah.
But I'm curious, what does a sponsor do?
So the sponsor, it just depends on how.
I mean, they give you money, funds, or equipment, but
it depends. If it's a business like HRH Combat, so what he does is occasionally I'll ask him like, hey, I need, like, he's donated some cameras that to my own fault didn't work out the way I hoped they would. I still use them. They're more for mobile. Like if I get out and I want to do stuff, I can use them for that. But so he donates when he can. He's a small business, so I don't press him for anything.
You just throw your bone here or there.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, if you could help out with that. And in return, I blast him on all of my stuff. Like every episode has a commercial for him. Right. For his shop, how to get to his page, his phone number and all. So I basically run an ad for him.
Right.
So that's kind of the idea. That's what I want to do for any other sponsors that come up. And if somebody wants to sponsor for one episode, cool. If they want to sponsor for a month, cool. It's really up to them. So
I want to put you on the spot here. I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
So HRH Combat, you got a patch right there.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have hats and T-shirts?
Yeah, he's got I wore his T-shirt on the show.
Okay, that was my question. Out and about,
talking into the mic
at work, stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing too about my sponsors is like I gotta believe in what they have.
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna like sponsor Pornhub or anything like that. I'm gonna sponsor stuff that morally and ethically I can get behind. So.
What's Pornhub?
Shut your mouth. Everybody knows what Pornhub is. So yeah, working on that. But I'm gonna put you on the spot because I've been thinking about this.
What's that?
The show's called Two Cops, One Donut. Right. And everybody's always asking me like, who's the other cop? Like I had my buddy Zentino trying to help me out when I first got started.
Right.
Because he has a social media following and all that stuff. So I was like, well, he knows what he's doing. So let me get him to help jumpstart this, and I would have kept him on regularly, like kept doing it regularly, but he lives so far away.
Where does he live?
He's like north side, like deep. So it takes him like 45 minutes to an hour to get here.
Oh.
So, and then the other thing is he's got a family. He's got his part-times.
Oh,
came on. That's awesome.
I wonder if the camera caught that.
That's funny. It might not have. If you guys are listening, I have a cord that I had glued to the ceiling, and I think the cold weather made it the adhesive come off, and so the cord's kind of dangling. But I don't think you can see it in the camera. That was interesting. It's funny. It happened while we're recording. Anyway,
he lives far away.
He lives too far away, and some of these, like this podcast. When did I ask you to come over? Last night, yeah. Yeah, like I needed to get an episode in here.
Yeah.
And you're a retired police officer of 30 years.
Yeah.
Who's continued through investigative work from what I consider the other side.
The dark side.
The dark side. You work for a defense attorney, basically.
Right.
Who was once a prosecutor.
And a judge.
And a retired judge. So you've got a unique perspective. We're looking at that cord. It keeps moving. And I don't think I don't have to, like I've told people before, I don't have to have 2 cops on here every single time.
Right.
But
you got to have at least.
Yeah. You want to be my second cop for most.
Be your Robin.
Yeah. Well, you're older, so you kind of be the Batman. Yeah.
I'll do it as much as I can.
Yeah. I figured you're retired. So, and you got to make up for lost time. You never really hung out with me. So
make some changes around here.
God, I wish. Yeah. I wish I had more space.
Get rid of the damn. I'm starting to like Boba Fett. So keep
Boba Fett. See, now you get what I was talking about.
Yeah.
It's legit.
Though he wasn't hardly on the show the last week.
No, which I thought was awesome.
Yep.
I don't want to give any spoilers, but that was a fucking awesome episode.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and your Christmas present that you got me.
What's inside?
That's just regular TX whiskey.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
You have to tap into that.
We can do that. I'll have to go.
That's the only reason I came over here.
Oh, that makes sense. To drink, yeah. That makes sense. And then we have our Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah.
Glasses. I mean, technically, you could say that's... No, never mind. I was going to say you could say that's the Mandalorian, but you can't. You know why? Let's see where your nerdness is at.
Let me put my glasses on. I'm going to say probably because it's that stupid flag.
Flag?
Antenna, whatever that thing is.
Yeah, that's his antenna. Is
that why?
Sensor. Yeah. Mandalorian does not have one on his helmet.
Because he's updated?
Just different tech. That's one of the things I hope they do on the Mandalorian or on Boba Fett is start to explain the armor and the technology behind it, because nobody knows exactly what all the helmet can do. I would think it can interpret languages. It can, work as a breather, something.
Isn't Boba Fett's armor older?
Yes.
He got it from some, I guess, a Mandalorian or whatever they're called.
I think he got it from his dad. I think it was his dad that got him. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to check. But I think he got the armor from his old man.
Oh, and I think his dad
was Jango.
Oh.
He's the one that got his head cut off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, by a purple lightsaber. There's a funny video that's out, and it's Boba Fett talking about, like, if you had a lightsaber, what color would you want it to be? And he goes, anything but purple.
Oh. Yeah. I can't. I've seen most of the movies. I just
it's when Mace Windu, played by Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
They're in this big open stadium, and all the Jedis come out.
Right.
It's like a cool scene. There's like the 3 pillars in the middle, and they just start going to town while Jango flies down and confronts Mace, and Mace was just like, off with your head, just chops his head off. And then little Boba, when he's a kid, goes and picks the helmet up.
Huh.
Now, what should have happened is blood starts dripping out, or his head falls out of the helmet, but that didn't happen in the movie.
Starts drinking the blood.
Oh God, yeah. But all right, let's get focused. We're already 20 minutes in.
That's what editing's for.
Yeah, no, I usually try not to edit any of the stuff. So I can real quick and go get us some ice cubes.
Okay,
and some water.
Sure.
All right, we're back. Sorry, had to go get some ice cubes for the whiskey. We're celebrating with some TX here.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh yeah, can't go. TX regular is just smooth. Anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about we were getting off topic. So we're 20 minutes in, and today's episode is going to be. Sorry, I still have a cough from COVID, so I'm trying to get over that. What average cops think and won't say. This was your idea for a topic.
Yes. So I was thinking about, because I belong to the Facebook page to the police officers and the retired officers.
Okay.
And it's a venue to where people bitch and praise and all that stuff. And most of the retired cops have the freedom to say what they wanted to say.
Right. Just for the same reason I don't mention where I work on this show.
Right.
Because if you say something that makes the department look bad or whatever, you could get fired. So,
but we've all, you've been a patrol officer.
Yep.
You've been a detective. You've been a specialized unit.
Yep.
Detective officer. So you've got, those areas of experience. Mm-hmm. And I've done all that too. And then I've also been a supervisor up the chain. So I have a little bit different perspective other than the patrol and detective. Because, your troops go to you, and a lot of times
if they trust you.
Yeah. A lot of times they'll say, hey, I don't really want to complain, but that type of shit,
Yeah.
And then that's the stuff they will talk about, but don't want to go on record, which is even another topic. Mm-hmm. Or there's some things they just don't want to say, period, because they want to be that person.
Yeah.
And the reason I thought of that was my part-time job. I call it my retirement gig.
Yeah.
I work as a private investigator, and I investigate cases with defendants. Mm-hmm. Then they're not all, shitbags. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, there's someone there who's rightfully innocent, and it's good to help them out. And it's good to help out the officers who are hemmed up, because we represent a bunch of officers. So that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
But I was watching this body cam footage of a robbery, and then the officer who has some age to her, she's not like a young woman who's fresh out of school and hits the academy in the streets. No, she's, I don't know, probably in her 30s. So she's got some life experience. I don't know how long she's been on the job. Long enough, but still fairly new, I would say. And she called a crime scene to come get some articles of clothing that the suspect took off as he ran away and hid in the alley.
Okay.
And she's thinking, oh, there might be some DNA in here or some hair, whatever. You know, just assuming what she's thinking. Well, she calls crime scene and tells them what she has. And they go, just tag it, Robbery doesn't really want to mess with DNA on something like that. It's just
a serious violent crime.
Yeah. And it was, they didn't get any money. They got a person in a, no, they didn't get any money at all because the dumbass, they threw the deposit bag in the car and shut the door. And the guy who had a deposit bag was kind of spot on and saw the robbery taking place. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't near the manager. So he kind of sneaks the deposit bag, throws it in the car, and shuts the door while the suspect is trying to demand the money by knife point to the manager.
Oh.
So he gets nothing, and he runs, and he ditches his clothes. So she does the right thing, and she calls the crime scene. And crime scene blew her off, but they thought they were justified. Hey, just tag it. If we need to do something, we'll go do it.
Okay.
We'll get out of the property room. Well,
which is fair enough.
So, but as the conversation ends on the phone, you know how when you're fixing to hang up, there's that little pause? Well, you can hear somebody on the other end of crime scene go, stupid. say,
yeah,
that's stupid.
Right.
And now this officer's pissed. And she calls her sergeant.
Who the fuck was that?
She calls her sergeant, and they're talking about it. And I'm trying to put myself in her shoes. Me knowing my personality, I'd be pissed too, but I'd be calling right back.
Right.
And
yeah.
Motherfucking that person.
Yeah. Excuse me?
Yeah.
You got something to say? Where you at? Yeah. I'll be there.
Once you come to this location and call me stupid.
Yeah.
Wait. I'll just come to the crime scene office.
Yeah.
Wake your ass up and call you stupid.
Yeah.
Anyways. And so anyway, she was pissed. And that's got me thinking of, you know, sometimes you want to say something, but you don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's easier to think about the right thing to do if it's not you or after Monday morning quarterbacking.
Right.
And then she called robbery, and robbery goes, what? They should have got that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know me as a detective, I would want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they said, we'll go get it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah. And you got to think of how that affects morale, because I know there's units that I just won't bother calling because they ain't going to do anything.
Yeah.
They ain't going to do the job the way that I think it should be done. Doesn't mean I'm right or wrong, but I know it's not going to be handled the way I want to do it. So I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the other thing that, you know, I try to, without sounding preachy to officers or detectives, I'm like, you are capable of doing all the same stuff. You guys all hold the same peace officer license and stuff. You just may not know how to go about it.
Right.
So you got to figure that stuff out. There's a warrant called a Geofence Warrant that I had no training. There's no schooling out there on.
What's it called?
A Geofence Warrant. So
spell it.
GEO.
Oh, Geo.
Geo. Yeah, okay. Like a geographical. I think that's what it's short for. And the premise behind it is like, let's say an electric company property.
Right.
Somebody comes in and goes in and steals, you know, a bunch of copper conduits and spindles or whatever that they have.
Right.
So if you can't find any good leads, you know, let's say they steal, you know, a couple $100,000 worth of copper. That's a big amount. Now I wouldn't use a geofence warrant on stupid stuff. Little, you know, it's because it's a lot of resources, a lot of money that goes into that. So it's got to be a big crime. So let's say it's that electric company, a couple $100,000 worth of stuff gets stolen, and you've got video, but you can't see anything really. You just know, okay, they were on the property. Right. This is when they came in, and this is when they left. Well, a Google Geofence warrant, if your phone or tablet or mobile device, computer, whatever it is, if you have any type of Google account, whether it's Gmail, Chromecast, Chrome, and there's other apps that are owned by Google that don't say Google, you can write a warrant and use Google Maps and plot out the area, so just around the place that was taken, and find out if any Google accounts came into that vector.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're the shit.
Kind of like tracking your phone.
Yeah. So, and then
I think the usual suspects are getting smarter to leave their phone at the house.
Yes. Yeah. I try to tell, you know, people who are giving away. I'm like, listen, like, we don't deal with the cream of the crop when it comes to smart criminals. So, if they have that, it's out there. It's a Google search away, and I highly doubt criminals are watching my show. But hey, if they are, I welcome them. Maybe they can learn something. Anyway, I know a lot of officers listen to this, so I'm hoping if they ever become a detective or they want to, you know, really, you know, shine and want to write a warrant while they're an officer, this is a viable option.
Yeah, you know, you were talking about, you know, you want to do the call your way, but a specialized unit may not agree with you, and you can do the same thing. Like, there are certain things an officer can do as far as, you know, processing a crime scene.
Yeah.
To a point.
Yeah.
But if there's something they don't know how to do and they have to call a specialized unit and they're kind of bucking the system.
Right. Now you're going to alienate the unit.
This is what worked in the past for me. Hey, I know y'all are busy and you can't do whatever.
Right.
Can you show me how?
Yeah. Can you tell me over the phone? Like, I got this part, but I'm not sure what to do.
And then it gets to the point where they'll either keep helping you or say, fuck it, I'll make the scene.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, what do you do? And then you have to, the way I do it is I just make it sound like they're really doing me a favor. Because
we call that ass kissing.
Well, no, because it makes them feel like shit. Like, fuck, he's doing my job.
Yeah.
And the more you ask questions and the more they realize like, yeah, I should have made scene or I should go make scene.
Yeah.
So
I every so often, and I just, what I like about my work is I get a lot of court cases and I see a lot of reports. And I read one report and I was like, oh my God, who the hell wrote this report?
Right.
And you gotta edit something, don't you?
Yeah.
So
you already failed 31 minutes in.
So I'll read a lot of the reports and see the body cams, and it kind of, it's interesting.
Yeah.
See what they talk about. But then there's this, I almost called to try to find the supervisor and say, hey, I don't typically do this, but this is so bad.
This needs addressing.
That, somebody needs to know.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the most ignorant report. I mean, not just grammar, but the verbiage,
the lack of detail.
Just, you name it. It was. Yeah. I had to keep going up and down to see, well, where'd this guy come from? Who the fuck is that? Wait, you didn't say anything about this guy?
Yep.
Oh. And all of a sudden they just show up and report.
I've done this since day one, and I think it's because I've been an instructor. But if I got a report and it's a case that I think I can work, it's got what I think is good leads, but the report is terrible, I will send that officer an email just to him, nobody else. Hey, call me.
Yeah.
I don't write it out, nothing like that, but give me a call. And then they'll call me and I'll be like, hey, dude, like, what's the deal? Like, this is the type of info I need.
Yeah.
I get it. I looked at the report. It was 5:30 in the morning. I know it was right towards the end of your shift.
Right.
I understand. I was like, but we got a good shot at this. And can you do a supplement if you have this info or whatever? Yeah. I'm not trying to tell them they did a bad report because I've been there. Sometimes you do
forget.
You do the bare minimum and you're ready to go. And I get it. So I'll give them an opportunity. And then if it starts to become a thing, then I'm like, all right, then I'll write an email.
Help me connect the dots a little better.
Yeah. And I think that's a good technique because every once in a while we need a little reminder, but it goes into the morale of things. Like, patrol gets shit on more than anybody.
Oh my God.
Everything is their fault.
Yeah. You're right. Publicly, it's their fault because they're the face of the department.
Yeah.
And they take the blame for everything.
Yeah.
And then they're supposedly the backbone, but yet someone's always taking a vertebrae away from it. And now they're walking around like they have scoliosis or something.
You can't get enough people in patrol.
Right.
When they do take their time on a call, they're getting bitched at by their own team.
Yeah.
You're milking that call. And they're actually out there working the call. Yep. And then when they don't work the call, then you got detectives like me calling, like, dude, like, what the hell? I'm like, man, we were slammed with calls that night. This is what, and then, then I'm chastising. I'm like, well, dude, like, if you're going to do the work so I can solve the case. You don't want to waste your time.
If you're running low on officers, it's hard to take that extra time to just go talk to a witness or do that one extra step or run down the street to look for a crime or whatever it is.
Right.
Because there's so many people.
Yeah. And inevitably
so many calls and not enough officers.
Yeah. Inevitably what you cause is an officer that his give a shit goes away and he's doing just enough so he doesn't get in trouble. And why is that? Because the sergeant gets on him because he's milking a call or he's not doing all the way through a call.
Do they still have, I don't know, remember what it was called, but there was a couple of days of the week where both teams overlapped.
Yeah.
And
they got like two different supervisors.
And they took turns working on a special problem or an interest. Or
I couldn't tell you. I haven't been in patrol to know what they're doing today. And folks, if you're listening, we're just talking about a department that we're familiar with. This could be different department to department. Larger departments have that freedom to be able to do focused things, have specialized units, but generally I think it's like 82% of your departments out there are like 10 or less officers. They don't have specialized units. They have officers that are trained in a little bit of everything, you know, but for these larger departments, larger cities, this is what we're referring to, but it goes into the morale. So let's tackle morale first, because that is what are all the things that affect morale?
Everything.
So you got public perception, which, you know, you got F12, fuck the police, you know, ACAB, all cops are bastards. What else? What other stupid thing is out there? So all cops are being painted with this generalized brush, which sucks. So now you got, and even if your city is awesome and supports you, whatever happened like in Minnesota, they've got an issue. Right. So that wave hits all of us.
Yeah. And so when the morale affects, well, you're always going to have those people, a certain percentage that they're always going to be pissed about something.
The loud minority.
They bitch.
Yeah.
Right. So as far as officers are concerned, there could be a serious issue and they'll bitch amongst each other, or they'll bitch to their family, but they won't say anything to anybody else. And I think there need that. That is one very important aspect of the job that affects morale, is things don't get addressed and they don't know how to bring it up. There needs to be some kind of system to where these concerns can be monitored and evaluated and prioritized. Yeah. To see if it needs to be addressed.
So in your experience as a person that was a supervisor, if I came to you and I'm like, trying to think of a legitimate complaint. I come to you with a generalized complaint, which I shouldn't be doing as an officer. Who should I be taking it to? Well, I should be taking it to my sergeant.
Well, yeah, but see, you just said supervisor, so
right.
There's multiple levels. Yes. So I think a general complaint. Are we talking about a complaint on an officer?
Not a complaint on like work environment type things.
Yes. So I think before you, and this is the hard part, before you bitch or complain or take it to the sergeant,
do you have a solution?
Yeah. Did you look into it?
Okay.
Did you, why is it, what's going on and why? Kind of like when you write a report, the who, what, when, where, and why, and how, just figure it out. So when you do go to the supervisor, you just don't have the bitch, but you have the bitch, the cause of the bitch, who's involved in the bitch. You know right. Everything about that problem.
Right. Yeah.
So when you go to the supervisor, you've done your homework.
Yes.
And it may take an extra day or two or a week, or it may take a few months to see if it's a pattern to where it's actually a habitual problem.
Yes.
So you take it to the sergeant. Yeah, you should. And now this is where the morale can really be screwed up. If the supervisor isn't honest about taking care of the situation, or at least looking into it, and keeping a promise that, hey, look, you came to me with a problem. I can't guarantee you I can get you your results or fix your problem, but I can guarantee you that I will look into it.
Yeah.
Now, if you guarantee and come through with looking into it and report back, say, hey, look, this is what I found out. This is what I did. Even if it's beyond me, but person above me knows about it.
Yeah.
Now, you've reached your responsibility for that troop, and you've reached credibility and loyalty. Well, hopefully,
yeah,
for that troop.
So, a possible fix is a requirement to show that follow up.
Yes,
I think that would be good.
Yes.
So, in an official capacity, like I would, like, here, maybe there's a form or whatever. Here was what was asked or addressed. This is the avenues I took. Because one, that could be checked by like a guy like a lieutenant. And he could say, all right, Sergeant, you checked this avenue. You did good. Here was some other options. So now I've just improved that supervisor, that sergeant. Later on down the line, if that complaint comes back up, he's got 2 other things that he could check that he didn't think to check. So now we're in improving supervisor skill level. The lieutenant's actually being useful,
right?
And hopefully, he has that type of insight,
or she.
Yep. And so maybe that is a first step to a fix that we have is anytime. Now this is the other part. Like, what do you do if the officer comes to you with a complaint that's not a complaint? He's like, look, this is the issue, but me as a supervisor, if I had a troop come to me with something that he doesn't want to put on paper, I would ask him or her, well, can I say that that's an issue I have and send it up, the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of bear the shield for that officer.
It'd have to be a case by case issue. Right.
But these are supervisor skill ideas that we could give to help improve.
And you know what helps morale when they come up with a good idea? It doesn't have to be a bitch that ruins morale, but it could be a good idea.
Right.
That ruins morale.
A good idea that ruins morale.
Yeah,
right.
For example, hey, we thought about this. That's a good idea. Well, let's shoot up the chain. The chain goes, no, we don't do it. Oh. Well, now you pretty much told that officer, yeah, it's a good idea, but we're too lazy to do anything about it, or no, it's not good enough.
Right.
I had 2 troops that came up with an idea, and it was whenever there's a missing person or someone's on the run and we can't find them, and Air One, the helicopter's looking, nobody can find it. Well, these 2 officers, they were just patrol officers, right? They go, you know what? While we were looking for a lost kid or something, they ran across a big culvert, ditch, drainage thing, right? And they go, well, if there's one of these, there's probably a bunch of these throughout the city.
Okay.
Or a few, who knows how many, but they knew that if somebody was missing in this area, they would like to know where these supposedly, sewers or drainage ditches that are size where a person could fit or a kid could fit. They would like to know where they're at. So they got with the city on their own and said, hey, could you give us a plot or a diagram or a map of where all these things are throughout the city? Oh. And then they took it with that and they ran with it, and they came up to me and said, that's a good idea. I said, do it. And if I would have sent it up the chain, they probably got, yeah, and got blown off. But I said, screw it, just do it anyways.
Yeah.
Take a call at the waterworks or whatever, or research and planning. Just start digging, and they did, and they came up and they got a hard copy, and they got it to where those maps of all those possible places where kids could be lost or people could hide, put on the computer to where it goes straight to, is it still NBC?
Yeah, MDC. Yeah.
Go to the computer in the car, and if they're looking for someone, they can go right to it.
Gain access, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm right near a culvert I never knew about.
Yeah.
And these officers were going to do it on their own time.
Yeah.
That's how strong they felt about it. I said, no need to do that. Just, do it on duty. We'll cover.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah. And a supervisor having the wherewithal to allow that to go. Yeah.
It's simple things.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to monitor that they don't take too long and they don't neglect their duties and their calls or make the other people pissed off.
So the thing that I'm gathering from our conversation about morale is it's generally controlled and orbiting around the supervisor, the immediate supervisor.
Yeah. When I first came into law enforcement back in 88, and I'm sure it was the same thing back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and today, your supervisor can make or break your your happiness or your day, basically. If you work for a crappy supervisor that doesn't want to do anything or help you out, it makes for a long day.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I'm in my professional career, I'm unofficially leading a team, and, my sergeant's giving me that freedom. I got 5 guys that I take out to the field, and we investigate stuff and work. And I'm really cutting my chops as a supervisor, and, not to.
And your supervisor isn't hounding you at every step, right?
Right. So I'm learning my way. And a lot, I've always been a big fan of never reinventing the wheel. So I've taken what I think is a lot of good stuff from guys like you, Buck Wheeler, other people, even my sergeant now. He's, they've got a lot of good things to add. And
how do you work around that sergeant?
Around my sergeant? How do I work around him?
He's so pretty.
He is. He is a gorgeous man. I give him that, and he dresses so nice. Mm-hmm. Oh, you should have seen him the other day. He had on an orange, crew neck zip up. It's a sweater, but it's not a sweater. And then he had on these royal blue pants and the matching. Oh man, he had it put together with these Drew Carey glasses on. He don't wear glasses.
Yeah,
a good looking dude,
male model.
Yep. I've been trying to get him on the show. He's dragging his feet. He wants to do it. He's just kind of dragging his feet. It's kind of, we can't get the date to work out type thing. So I'll get him on here.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. So the point I'm getting to is the supervisor is, I've tried to be in the go hard, work real hard supervisor. Not on them, but just doing the job, trying to do the same stuff they're doing. And that seemed to work, but then I tried to be more of a hands off and let them, me, just sit back and try to enjoy the ride, basically see what they could do without me being involved.
Let me share a story of that. Perfect example.
All right.
So I'm a brand new sergeant. 6 months in, working patrol, loving it, learning from the best. JD Moore.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
God, I need to get him on the show. This dude was he was in homicide for.
Oh hell, I don't know.
Forever.
It didn't matter where he was the best.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then I'll admit, I'm a slow learner. It's not that I'm stupid. It's that I don't want to make a mistake, and I want to do it right. So I ask a lot of questions, and I slow down the learning process because I guess I'm just too afraid to make a mistake.
Okay.
I want to learn something new. Anyways.
Yeah.
So 6 months in as a sergeant, and I think JD was a sergeant for 6 years. Well, they snatched me and another rookie sergeant to go to narcotics.
You hadn't even had a year in patrol as a sergeant yet?
And the morale from the senior sergeants that want to go there was just shot. They're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Shit like that, it affects morale.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know why I brought that up.
So I was talking about when you get cutting your chops as being a supervisor and learning your technique.
Oh, yes. So I'm in this specialized unit, narcotics, and within the narcotics, there's different units, and this certain unit was the special approach team. And the special approach team basically was this is when crack first came around, you buy crack off the street, or any kind of dope, but it's mostly crack. And you go undercover, and you send in your undercover officer, and they'd make a buy, and they would give a signal, and then we'd swoop in and make the arrest.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun as fuck. I mean, just nonstop action. Unless, your car was burnt or the neighborhood was on alert or something. And,
right. Letting doves go and shit.
Yeah. So I liked it. And I was out there, and then they made an arrest, and one of the officers took me aside, and he goes,
"Excuse me.
Hey, we're all for you being out here with us and stuff, but you're with us too much. And sometimes there's things that happen out here that a sergeant doesn't need to see." Okay. And he was trying to say that they couldn't do their job the way they're used to doing it.
Yeah.
With a sergeant around, because they're worried about liability or getting in trouble.
Okay. So let's address that, because the Joe Blow citizen out there listening is going to go, "Oh, you cops are being fucking corrupt. You're doing illegal shit."
That's what it sounds like. Yes.
And I think, and I'm not trying to talk for you, but I think what you're talking about is administrative issues.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So kind of explain that, because, the premise of the show is we're not just talking to cops and stuff out there. We're trying to talk to citizens to help bridge a gap.
Right.
So just like with body cameras, there's a lot of officers that were against that. And it wasn't because they were worried about them being out there doing corrupt things. It's because they didn't trust their own administration to not hem them up administratively for things that gets caught on their body camera. Like, for example, swearing.
Right.
Like, you're in your car. Me, I listen to rap music a lot. So I may be in there singing all the rap lyrics to a song I'm listening to in my car. And my camera was recording it. And now I'm getting hemmed up for something I didn't even have an interaction with citizens.
Well, the way I took it from that officer, which I appreciated the way that officer came up to me. One, it's not the supervisor's job to do the officer's job.
Right.
Okay. And I was doing the officer's job mainly because I didn't know what the hell they did. I was learning.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're trying to learn the job through their eyes.
Right.
Okay.
Two.
Which is fair.
Two, that shit was fun.
Yeah.
All right. I mean,
you forfeited fun when you promoted.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to have that type of fun. If you didn't want that fun, then you shouldn't promote it.
The basics of that unit was you put one of the officers in an undercover car, try to trick him out or her out in a certain way to make them fit the neighborhood to go buy dope. And it was usually crack in the area we were at mostly. And they would be in the car, and they would take them from house to house to house. So how many times it took to score. And then when they score, they give they were wired up, or they had a hidden radio, and they would give the takedown. They'd buy the dope. They let the person out. They drive off. And we usually knew who the person was because we were enough surveillance, but they would give the description of the person, the clothing, and which way they're headed. And we just swoop in, and the look on their face is like, what the hell's this? It's a blast. Right. They would run, and then of course you have to chase them, and it's a blast.
Yeah,
but
you're catching bad guys, like in your, that's like what you signed up for.
So, the being a new sergeant and them not knowing me the way you want to know your sergeant until the time is kicked in. Mm-hmm. They didn't know what they could or couldn't do or say that would get them in trouble, because you're working the streets and you're working in narcotics. You're going to cuss.
Right.
You're gonna
you have to adapt to the audience you're working around. Yeah.
And so all the factors of them not knowing me and not knowing if I would, what type of supervisor I'd be, they didn't want me out of the way, but they didn't want me there so much that they reacted differently.
Right.
And if you react differently in a high risk situation,
you could get hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
or the bad guy could get hurt.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just because you think, I'm not going to say what you think, but you could possibly think like the supervisor would expect this.
And the trick of that type of work,
My dog.
The trick of that type of work is the general orders, or the standard operational procedure for that unit pretty much says the sergeant will be monitoring closely.
Yes.
Well, how do you monitor closely in a undercover capacity?
Right.
In that type of it's not easy.
Right.
So you can be a couple blocks away or, in the neighborhood somewhere.
Right.
But you're not really seeing anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what can you see from 2 blocks away?
Yeah.
So the trick is how to supervise a specialized unit like that that's so mobile. And the dynamic changes so much.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have faith in the team.
Right.
And that's why they approached me, or one of them approached me and said, we can't really work with you around as much because I'm not so naive to think that, well, they're just trying to cover their ass. Yeah.
Right.
They're shit done that probably would have got them in trouble.
Administratively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and of course, we're talking back in the 90s.
Yeah.
All right. And not to say it justifies anything, but things were different.
They were done different. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it goes into like Rodney King. Like that was accepted and allowed in a way because the general public said it was fine and okay, but they didn't see it. Out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Well, when cameras started to become more prominent and, a homeowner could now, Joe Blow citizen can have their own camera in their house. It's not just a television production thing. Well, it changed things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's good. It's good. I will say it's good. It's good because now the citizens, like, they're the boss in the end of the day.
Here's what, in my opinion, the cameras brought. Of course, there was a lot of none of these officers like change.
No,
they don't.
It's not just officers. Anybody in a job that they're good at and they're comfortable with.
Right. Oh shit! Just another big brother watching us.
Yeah.
All right. But you don't hear that so much anymore because they're just used to it now, and in more cases than not, it gets you out of trouble.
Oh yes.
Hey, that officer did this and this. Where? I don't see it on the video. Yeah. You're right. Okay. Right. Show me where.
Yeah. Especially with body cameras.
Right.
Now. Yeah.
And so that's very, very, that's an improvement. That's progress.
Right.
And you're going to catch officers doing something stupid, getting in trouble or something illegal or excessive force. And that's what you want to catch.
Right.
Unfortunately, human nature, we're going to focus in on the bad person. Well, that officer's doing it. A lot of officers are doing it.
Yeah.
That's just the way society. And that's why we have this defund the police.
Yeah. And again, what does that affect?
Yeah.
Morale, which is the whole point of this first topic. So you're being affected by your supervisor. You're being affected by the general public.
And the origin of this topic was what officers want to say but don't say.
Yeah.
And morale affects that. They don't want to be that person. Next thing you know, you're on the shit list for the sergeant. You get the shit details and so it's important.
Let's talk about that. One of the reasons they don't say shit, because you have supervisors that are petty.
Right.
And if you say something to them that not necessarily, I don't think it makes them look bad. It's just it's an issue that you want addressed and they take it personal.
Right. So with that said, say an officer comes up to a supervisor and says, blah, blah, blah. Well, there's so many different ways that supervisor could take it. And if they take it the wrong way, next thing you know, they got butt hurt. And they think they're a weak leader.
You can't say butt hurt. That's not PC. That's Jamie Johnson.
They got anal hurt.
Okay.
So, and there's, let's face it,
some sensitive motherfuckers.
The majority of officer morale issues stem from supervisors. The supervisor may not be the cause of that actual, problem.
Yeah.
But if they're not a good enough leader to handle it or addressing it is sometimes all you have to do is bring it up in front of the troops, and you've made that officer's day.
Yeah. Anonymously, hopefully.
Well,
you're not throwing shade.
Yeah. You're not going to say, oh, Officer Levine said blah, blah, blah.
Unless it was a really dumb complaint. You're just trying to.
Well, I learned something from a legend, and I pass it on as much as possible. Officer A comes into the sergeant's office and says, hey, Officer B is doing this and this and this.
Well, did you talk to Officer B?
No, he had it even better.
Okay.
Go get that officer and bring him in my office and let's talk about it.
Either it's worth it or all of a sudden they reflect and like, you know what? Maybe my complaint was dumb.
Yeah, because it exposes you.
Yes.
It's like, okay, one, you weren't, I don't want to say man enough, but you weren't officer enough to address it.
You didn't have the conviction in your own complaint.
Right. Or you want somebody else to handle an issue that you could handle?
Right.
Or have you tried to handle the issue yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, don't you do that out in the field?
That's the lowest form. That's the first level. That's how it should be. But then to defend some officers that try to do that, now that officer goes and tries to complain on you because you tried to address an issue. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you can't win because you have those people out there.
I think whenever you have a complaint on an officer from another officer, okay, anytime you have a complaint on an officer, we're going to do polygraphs. Do you want to take the time to go through the polygraph?
Sir, that is not admissible in court.
We're not in court. One of you motherfuckers are lying.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, I like that technique. Fortunately, I haven't had to.
Well, let me give you the props on that guy. His name is Freddie Garcia.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's retired.
Yeah. I think he was gone before you got there.
No, he was there.
Still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good guy.
No, that's a good technique. I like that.
This is the type of relationship we had. Say this room is the sergeant's office. There's three of us in there. Lieutenant's office was right next door. And we kept the door open. And we could talk back and forth and chit-chat, because we're in the same basic area. Well, I would go take a piss or something or go out in the field or do whatever. If I left an apple or a banana or a sandwich on my desk or even in the bag.
Take a bite.
He'd take a bite of it.
He's establishing dominance. Yeah. He's a head wolf.
One day, we would get into these prank trends.
Yeah.
Or kicks. And one day, I changed his computer to Japanese.
Oh, you changed the language?
Yeah.
Icelandic is the best.
I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
So I changed it to Japanese, and he is probably computer illiterate as much as I am. We're old.
Yeah.
And so he's like, what the fuck is this? So he calls his computer guru sergeant, and they come in and they couldn't figure out how to switch it back to English.
Right.
I mean, because you can't read the shit to figure out where to go. So they had to call IT, and IT got control of the computer.
Yeah, that's a mess. All right. If we're going to go down this rabbit hole, let me tell you, this isn't my prank, but this is one that I heard from people I worked with. So They had just had training, medical training about signs and symptoms of a stroke.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So one of the signs and symptoms is like when you try to read everything, like dyslexic, everything's off. So they went into I think it was a sergeant or a corporal's office, and they switched all the keys around. They popped the keys off on the keyboard. And then another sign was like the taste of things changed. So he had coffee, but they poured pickle juice in it or something like that. So now he's going to drink his coffee. He's going to type, and they come into his office and they're like, like, Sarge, are you okay? And he's like, because he called me, he's like, something's wrong with and they changed all his stuff to Icelandic on the not like how yours was Japanese. It changed to Icelandic, and it's just crazy looking. So they do all these things in the combination after they just had the training, and they don't say anything to him. They're just they're like watching him sweat it out. Like, am I having a fucking stroke right now? Like, and he's like, Sarge, your face is kind of droopy.
Do I know this Sergeant?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Write his name down.
I will. I'll tell you. So it was like the perfect prank, and it was pretty funny. It was perfect timing.
Well, let me give you just one more.
Okay.
Before we get back on topic. So we had this officer, and everybody has this officer. It's always in trouble. I mean, just shit magnet, and, heavy-handed, use of force issues, complaints. He was a Bubba.
Right. He's trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a new young rookie officer trying to, fit in. And, back in the day it was, how many people you could be a badass to, I punked this guy out and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right. That shit. So he was what we call a frequent flyer with IAD. Okay. So
that's the Internal Affairs Division, right, for anybody listening.
So that same lieutenant that I had, he was our lieutenant, and I was this guy's sergeant.
Okay.
And we'll call him Johnny.
All right.
Okay. That's his real name, Johnny, but I won't mention the last name.
Okay. So, if you're listening, Johnny, I'm sorry.
Well, Johnny did a 180.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, and the chief knew him quite a bit because, he got in trouble a lot and his name was always out there.
Yeah.
Everybody knew Johnny. He was a good old Bubba. So I took Johnny's picture of his face and I put it all over the lieutenant's office. Like I would take the picture of Freddie and his wife and his kid.
Yeah.
Right. And I would put Johnny's face on the kid.
So you wasted city resources.
That's right. Okay. And then I took the clock and all the numbers. I put Johnny's face on all the numbers. And these awards that Freddie won that are all in his office, I put Johnny's name on there.
So you cut him?
Yeah.
That's
and then I would put pictures of Johnny here and Johnny there. And not only did I do that, this Freddie Garcia kind of looked like Barry Manilow. Okay. So I took Barry Manilow's face, album covers and stuff, and put it all over like he was in love with Barry Manilow.
Okay.
So the chief came in one day to talk to Freddie, and everybody knew Freddie. Freddie's been there forever.
Yeah.
Legend. Chief could walk in there, and Freddie could tell the chief, "Hey, sit down, bastard." Stuff like that.
Yeah. Like J.D. Moore.
Yeah. So the chief is talking to Freddie about something, and he's walking around his office and staring at this thing.
He left it up.
He's going, "What is all this?" And he doesn't say anything, but I'm in the other room, and I'm kind of peeking in. I can see the chief looking and talking, and I'm like,
yeah.
So I'm going to go and I peek my head and I start laughing. And Freddie goes, "It's his fault, Chief. That motherfucker."
He's the fucker that did it.
But he's such a cool supervisor, lieutenant. He left all that shit.
Yeah.
He just left it there. Yeah. It's a badge of honor for him.
Yeah. Shit. Okay, we'll end it. The stories after this. Yeah. Just to go into the morale side of things, you know, I either went on vacation or I was sick. I come back and my stuff. This is kind of a newer thing, I think, but everything was in aluminum foil.
I think you sent me a picture of that.
Yes, my entire desk, everything, my mouse, everything. I mean, they spent some time, but me as an unofficial supervisor, like that's an homage.
Yeah.
Like if they didn't trust me or they wouldn't have bothered. Yeah. You know, if you're not being, my rule as a cop, if you're not being made fun of, something wrong.
Yep. And you think about it, you know, maybe not so much today, but I still think it is that, you know, you're full of alpha type people. And
I feel like I'm a beta, but
pranksters, you know, and just people who like to have a good time. And there's truth to this. The more stressful and fucked up your job is, the more demented and perverted your humor
is. Dark humor. Yeah. Like nurses.
Yeah.
ER nurses, the worst. I will put that out there. Yeah. ER nurses are more fucked up.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in the ER room as a rookie patrol officer, and my jaw has dropped listening to them talk shit about whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You just floored.
Now, my military buddies, really dark sense of humor.
Right.
I mean, but nothing holds a candle to an ER nurse.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Because think about it. We see, patrol officers see shit.
Yep.
Right? But it's usually shit with people who are...
It's the 3%.
Coherent, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of know what they're doing. Sometimes they're under the influence. But if you're so fucked up that you're in the ER, and you're fucked up.
Yeah.
There's something, and they see that a lot.
Yeah.
And they don't just see, you know, bad guys and thugs and criminals. They see crazy people.
Mm-hmm.
And then they see people who aren't crazy, but they're just like, what the hell is wrong?
Hypochondriacs, everything.
Or people who like to, how do I say this without sounding like I'm trying to be negative? Where they have to x-ray the anus and they find shit.
Right. Hey, I had a guy, I will keep this anonymous, but claimed he was raped. He was a photographer. That's what he said.
Work it.
And he was at a furry convention.
A what?
A furry convention. This is where people dress up in animal costumes.
Okay.
It's a sexually motivated event. And he was hired to be a photographer for the show.
Okay. Pardon my ignorance.
Okay.
Now, is this furry? What's it called?
Furry. Yeah.
Furry convention.
Mm-hmm.
Is it hetero?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything.
It's opened up.
Yeah, it's open to everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just like
dressing up like an animal.
Okay.
So he says he's hired as a photographer. Now he's an older gentleman, and he's at the call was generated at the hospital.
Okay.
So I get there and he claims that they forced a light bulb up his butt.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. What's up with light bulbs?
I don't know.
Because you would think it's so scary that it could break.
Yeah. So
unless it's like the tube light bulb.
No. It was like it wasn't it wasn't a regular light bulb. It was kind of I don't know what you would call that shape, but more
oblong.
Yeah, more that than like round. Bulb. Yeah. So it's kind of like a more narrower football shape.
Say that 3
times. Yeah. So he had that all the way. It was stuck. He couldn't get it out type thing.
How do you say it got in there?
He said he was forced into it.
Forced or not drugged?
Not drugged, but it was forced. He was raped. So I'm asking him, like, well, where were you? He's like, I was at this hotel. I was hired to be a photographer. Okay. Well, like the photographer should be down in the common area lobby where everybody's at. And that's where the party was.
He was in a room when this happened?
He was in a room. I was like, well, how did you get in a room? He's like, well, they asked me to go take pictures for them. There were a couple. Yeah. I was like, okay. So I'm asking more of the story. Long story short, it was his first gay encounter, is what he said. And he went up there and he was trying to figure out if he was gay, if he wasn't gay. And they forced him to do this light bulb. They decided for him. Yeah. Well, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the hotel. I'm going to start questioning people and, what were they dressed in? And the basic premise, long story short, I'm sorry. It wasn't his first time. It wasn't his first rodeo. He was there for that specific reason. And he got that, and he's done it before, but it got stuck and he didn't know what to say. He didn't know how to address it when he went to the hospital.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I'm curious what animal fucked him.
Yeah. So no charges, no nothing like that. I'm glad we got him to come clean, but that was his, like, he didn't know.
Can you imagine all the stories?
He was elderly.
The emergency room staff hears.
Yeah.
I fell and on this box and
right. The greatest thing was the nurse coming up to me and was like, so did he tell you what happened? I'm like, yeah, he told me kind of the story. And he's like, did he tell you why he's here? I was like, no, he didn't tell me that. And they're like, well, we have this x-ray here. We already got permission from him. He said we could show you, so we don't have a HIPAA violation. And he shows me the x-ray, and I'm like, I'm looking, I'm like, you're like, I don't need glasses, but I'm looking like I need some glasses on because I'm trying to, like, in my head process what I'm seeing. And
and when you saw it, the light bulb went on?
Yeah. No pun intended. Yeah, I'm like,
I don't get it.
Immediately, I'm like, oh, shit.
You hear the light bulb story so many times.
Mm-hmm. Now, fortunately for this man, it didn't break. It was fully intact. They helped him. They got it out. But, yeah, I don't get it. Whatever. Hey, whatever you're into, I support you.
You know,
Pursuit
we're
of
talking
happiness.
About how demented ER nurses are?
Yeah.
When an ER nurse has to force, I don't want to say feed, I don't know how to word this, but where they have to make someone throw up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
With the nose and the hose.
Yeah, and the charcoal. Yeah, when they're alcohol poisoning. Yeah, no, they don't.
Don't fuck around.
Nope. That's nasty shit. If you've never seen a charcoal treatment, man. Ooh. Yeah, but it saves lives.
Dude, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to do this as work?
Yeah. And like catheter. Like, I've heard some of these nurses, they're like, yeah, we got to cath them. I'm like, oh, that's like where you like stick something in their pee hole, right? And they're like, yeah. I was like, is there any way around that? They're like, well, we have these things called condom caths that go over, like if you're a male, it goes over the wiener. And they're like, but the problem with that is if we think they're going to be combative or there's a chance that it's not going to stay put, then we use a regular catheter.
Well, you've heard the term piss off the police and things go bad.
Yeah, POP.
Well, if you piss off a nurse, it's even worse.
Yes. So
I've been there and seen it, and where they had to get a catheter and they go, what size?
Yep.
And they go,
the biggest you can find. Yep. Right?
And yeah. It's like, you're in instant awe and you see the light comes on and it's like a ray of light goes on the nurse and they're put on a pedestal and you hear the angels go, oh.
Yep. Yeah. Everybody's all about keeping Police in
and
check.
That's why cops marry so many damn nurses.
Right? Look, my wife, she's going for nursing. Of course, she wants to catch babies. So, I'm going to take the time. You know what? We're going to go down a little side path. My wife, she got an award recently.
I saw that on Facebook.
As a student nurse. A Daisy Award.
So I saw that, but apparently it's a big deal, but I don't know what a Daisy Award is.
Right. I didn't. Okay. So I won't pretend to know exactly what it is, but I do know this. It is extremely rare for a student nurse to get this award.
Oh, really?
Her aunt, she did nursing for 30 plus years, who retired. She said she's never heard of a nursing student getting this award.
Okay. That's weird.
That's weird, right? And several other, one of the guys that works with me, his wife is a nurse, works in like cardiac. How do you say that? Cardiac? Heart. Works in the heart ward, with the like heart surgeries and shit. So she's been doing it a long time. And she said that, again, hasn't heard of a nursing student getting this. So I'm getting it from like, it's one thing to hear it from your aunt,
right?
Her aunt, but it's another to hear from a third party that's in nursing for a long time. It's like, dude, nursing students don't get that shit. That's fucking awesome.
We need to celebrate that shit then.
Yeah. So
I thought it was just, at first I thought it was just some, hey, we recognize how dedicated you all are. But she got a Daisy, which is, would you be safe to say that's kind of like getting
it's like your award,
a Valor?
Yes,
award?
It's like a Valor Award, in my opinion,
or a life-saving award.
Yeah. So it's like there's two big awards. One's called like a Nightingale, and then the other's the Daisy. There may be other ones I haven't heard of yet, but
okay, Nightingale makes sense because we all have heard of Nightingale.
Yes, so those are two big nursing awards, and to get it as a nursing student is just, it's even more rare. Yeah. So
it's like getting officer of the year as a rookie in the academy.
Right. Yeah. So
could you imagine that you're in the academy and you do something so awesome,
right?
That they go, he saved the world. Yeah. She saved the world.
I got an award in our academy for
which one?
Our department.
What award?
When I saw, do you remember Layman? He was your troop on West Side. Yeah. I was going to lunch.
Smart motherfucker.
Yeah, in the academy, and he was chasing a bad guy around a train cart.
I remember
two of them. He had one handcuffed, but the other one was running from him. And I was on my way to lunch. And now, to be fair, anybody listening to this, I was already an officer. Like, I was coming down here. So
wait.
No. Shut up.
No.
Shut up.
You had previous experience.
I had previous experience. So, come down here and I see him running around. I'm like, I couldn't tell if he had his gun out or his taser.
So did you hear the Benny Hill music?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So he's.
Oh, can you put that in the video?
Maybe I might. No, that might be like some copyright thing.
Fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah. Nobody listens to the show anyway. So he's chasing this guy around the train cart, and I catch at the perfect moment. He's pushing the bad guy towards me. I park the car and I go running, and the guy's coming right at me, and I'm like, I can't say what I said. I almost said it.
Why not? Because the town.
Yeah, it'll give everything away. So.
We say Department PD.
Yeah. I'm like, and so I actually said police, even though I wasn't, and we basically speared this guy from two angles. Yeah. I went low, he went high, and we just bam clothesline this dude, and get him cuffed up, and that was it. Walked away, but it was as an academy student, it's always funny because you got to go there, and any police encounter you have, you're supposed to report it.
For that, right?
I did. So any police encounter you have, you're supposed to report yourself. So I go there and I'm like, hey, Stahura's my, yeah, I'm like, hey dude, just so you know, this is what happened, during lunch.
I caught a bad guy.
And, he's like, what? Say that again? I was like, yeah, I saw an officer. I could tell he was chasing this dude. He had another guy with him. He was alone. So I went and I helped him. He was like, what? He's like trying to fathom it. He's like, Levine, that's pretty cool. You realize that, right? And I'm like, and me, I already been a cop, military cop up in Michigan. I was like,
ain't no thing.
That's what you do. And you would be the same way. Yeah. This is what you do. And
now, you being military, police, and that other department you work for, so it's second nature.
Yes.
So it's more understandable that you're going to react that way. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they wrote up a commendation, but it was just kind of funny to. And I had a car full of academy guys with me that
sat there.
No. I could tell it took them a second to process because I was just going.
You were reacting, and they're like,
"What the fuck are you?" Like their concern was like, "Are we going to get in trouble?"
Yeah.
Or my concern was like, "This is just what you fucking do."
What'd Joey say?
Joey was on it. He just was behind the curve because.
Yeah.
So, because I didn't explain anything, I just saw it going on.
Reacted,
and I just
like,
went.
What's Levine doing?
And they're like, "Where are you going?" Yeah. So they all jumped in. They went and they got the other dude, the other guy that was handcuffed.
Who else?
He tried to run.
You? Joey and
so it was Joey Spraggins, Aaron Garcia, and a female. Her last name was Lynn. I can't remember her first name. She's not a cop anymore. Mm-hmm. She didn't last very long, but I think that was it. I think that. Oh no, yeah, I think that was it. Maybe Witten. I don't remember, but yeah. So we went, and we got them, and that was so funny. But anyway, all right, let's get back on topic. We're talking about morale. We're talking about specialized units. What we haven't got into is admin and testing and promotions.
Okay, which one do you want to hit first?
So let's get into specialized units.
Okay,
we're at an hour and 30 minutes, so. We got plenty of time. Average
specialized
podcast is
units.
2 hours and 30 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Here's what most officers have an issue with.
Patrol officers.
Yeah, patrol officers. And I'm going to say it exactly how I've heard it before. Motherfucker, you've been in a specialized unit forever. You're not a cop anymore. Come back to patrol.
So explain that to Joe Blow citizen. They don't. To them, that's a cop. Cop's a cop. You're enforcing the law.
So your average patrol officer answer calls. Your specialized unit officer handles, a special crime, whether it's, narcotics or vice or robbery or homicide. They specialize in a specific offense.
Yeah.
All right. And I don't want to say all officers, but most officers want to go to a specialized unit at least once in their career.
Yeah.
But, with a large department or even a small department or smaller department, it's hard to get in those things.
Yeah.
And so if you got an officer who's in SWAT or fugitive or narcotics or vice forever, like, bitch, when are you going to go back to patrol so someone else can have some of this fruit?
Yeah.
And they're like, bitch, I ain't giving this up. And I get both sides. I mean, I do.
Yeah. Well, let's get both sides. One argument is you become specialized, you become very efficient, your level of knowledge is so unique that you are out there catching the worst of the worst. You're really good at it.
Right.
And how do you replace that with somebody that's going to come in and has never done that?
Well, let me give you what I know and what I've experienced. Okay. What's the most specialized unit out there?
SWAT.
SWAT.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, years of training.
Right. And it's a team-oriented training. It's not an individual.
Right. I would say, 5 years to where you're
A well-oiled machine.
Yeah, where you got your shit together.
Yeah.
All right. Then after your 5 years of finally kind of getting your niche, put another 5 years in. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now you're 10 years in. After 10 years, it is my opinion, in my opinion only, it's time to go.
Yeah. I mean, you're not learning anything new, more than likely.
And you go, why? I like this job. Well, let me tell you why. For the benefit of the overall department.
Yeah.
That's what should be done. It's whatever's best for the overall for the department.
Because it isn't about you. It's about the citizens that you're out there protecting.
Now, there are certain situations where there could be a 20-year SWAT person who is so damn good that you'd be stupid to move them. Okay.
Right.
But that's not always the case. Very rare.
Yeah.
I had rookie patrol officers with so much military training and specialized stuff. You know, I'm not a military guy, but to where they are highly trained more than that SWAT officer that's already there. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they're younger. So my opinion is a rotation. Look, you've been here 10 years. It took you 5 years to get where you're at, proficient. And you're here 5 years for, a productive piece of the puzzle.
Right. Plus you're training the new guys that come in.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Let these new people go in there. Well, why? I'm doing a good job. Yeah, you are doing a good job, but what is the backbone of a police department? Patrol. Get your ass back in patrol and share your experience. But they don't want to do it. And you know why they don't want to do it? Because they don't like change.
I was going to say, because it's change.
Yeah. They don't like change. They won't have a take-home car. They won't have the prestige of being a specialized unit. And most officers won't bitch about that. They won't say it. But that's what all officers are thinking.
Yeah.
Give me a chance.
Yeah.
I personally know many officers who have much more experience than these SWAT officers never get a chance because there's not a rotation.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm trained up. Every specialized unit has said that.
Yeah.
Well, why? I'm proficient. I'm good. Yeah, you are good. But let's share the wealth. Let's get your ass out of there. Let's put you in patrol to where you can share that experience with these young rookies.
Right. It's when they start making the career about themselves rather than the team.
Another within our department, another issue is fugitive. Right? Where do they pick the fugitive officers' vacancies from? 99% of them are from SWAT.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Well, it used to be. It may not be now, but
I don't think it is now.
But it's probably from a specialized unit.
Yeah. Yeah, typically.
Okay. Because of whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And within my time, when you were in SWAT, after it was time for you to go, and I will tell anybody to their face, it's harder to get out of SWAT than get into SWAT. And what I mean by that is, it's time for you to go, but nobody pushes you out.
Right.
And then if it gets to a point where they actually have to, it's obvious, where do you go? Another specialized unit, which is fugitive.
Mm-hmm.
Why? If you're not capable of doing the job in SWAT for whatever reason, and you're going to go to fugitive because it's not as demanding,
yeah,
you affect morale because you're taking someone from the most specialized elite of the elite unit to fugitive, which is another elite unit. That fucking affects morale.
Right.
And I've mentioned this back when I used to work, but nobody really wants to hear it because they don't want to give up their spot.
Yeah.
But I guess in general, it should be, you are in a specialized unit, and they tried this. They did, probably because of my bitching, to go from specialized unit back to patrol, do your time, whatever it is, and then go back to a specialized unit. You can't jump from specialized unit to specialized unit.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, we're the most qualified. I call bullshit on that because we're such a large department that there's so many other people, especially the military guys and girls. They got some training.
Yeah.
Just take advantage of it.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm military, although it's just Air Force.
Almost military.
But, you know, I've got friends in all branches. And the stuff that they've done, and let's face it, SWAT is not, that's not patrol work.
Mm-mm.
That is a military operation in a sense.
It is highly specialized,
yes,
highly trained, and you don't want to move those people in and out.
Right. Yeah.
As often as any other unit.
Right. Like something like narcotics.
Right.
Like you can get good dope experience just as a patrol officer.
Yeah. And
you could rotate right in to a narcotics unit and figure it out and become specialized. 2, 3, 5 years.
I would say SWAT's kind of like this, a professional athlete. Right?
Yeah.
Say a boxer, football player. You only have so many years to where you're prime.
Right.
Right? To where you're at the top of your game. There's only a few Tom Brady's.
Yeah.
And Brett Favre. There's only a few of those. Okay. Now, your average SWAT guy is going to get in the stick and make the entry and take care of business.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not patrol work. It's not talking. It's nothing. It's an operation.
Right. And let's just take SWAT unit per se. Most of those guys are in the stick and they do dynamic entries. Then you have the specialized people within the SWAT unit, like you have your snipers, right?
Right.
And your breachers. Now, the sniper, I get it. I mean,
that's a skill level.
That is a fucking skill level.
Yeah. That's not like,
in my opinion, you can be there 40 fucking years as long as you can hit that X. Good.
Right.
Right.
Because, and I'm not that guy. I will tell you straight up, like on a pistol, I'm shooting a 95 where, you know, my peers are averaging a 98. Now that you get your sniper, he's the 99 to 100 every time.
Right.
That's who you want.
Those are the, in my opinion, of course, those are the ones that you give the exemption to.
Right. Because it's such a unique, and when shit hits a fan.
Have you ever experienced or looked into the pistol team in the department?
No.
Well, the way the pistol team is, you compete, right? But say there's, I don't know how many there are on a team. Let's say there's 10. Well, every so often they have a qualification. And they take the top 10. Now, if you show up and you're competing and you beat 2 of the people, you beat number 8, number 9, well, or number 10. Number 10's off. He's off the team. Yeah. She's off the team.
Yeah, the best of the best.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm as far as SWAT goes, yeah. So let's twist this a little bit because the point is part of the show is to my dog. I don't know if that comes across. I can hear it in my headphones.
I have never heard it.
But I can hear it in my headphones. My dog barking. Anyway, I got 2 Dobermans if you're not familiar. But
pussies.
Yeah, they are. They're sissies. If you break into my house, they're going to run out the back door. They will bark, though, and intimidate enough.
Yeah.
But the point I'm getting to is, as a citizen out there listening to this,
right?
How do we make it so we have their best interest at heart? Because that's a concern of mine. I get it. For if you're a SWAT officer, if you're whoever, you're the cream of the crop. Now, is the citizen going to sit back and go, why are you getting rid of the cream of the crop? What works out better for the citizen? I personally think, even though you have cream of the crop who's reaching his limit, let's say it's 5-10 years. Yeah. He's reaching the limit, but imagine the knowledge that they can put on a patrol officer when they're handling a burglar in a building. They're handling whatever it is, any tactical situation before SWAT ever gets involved. Right. The amount of knowledge that can be spread when you got guys like Elise out there.
Yes.
And, I know I don't expect the public to know who Elise is, but he's one of the best tactical police officers I've ever seen in my life.
Well, let me give you an example. Let me give you the audience an idea of what Elise is. Can I say his first name?
Yeah, sure. He's not a police officer.
Dennis Elise. So, you ever see the movie Taken?
Yeah, I have a particular set of skills.
Right. So, the lead character in Taken is pretty much Dennis Elise.
That's fair.
All right?
Yeah.
So, even Dennis will tell you that it gets to a point where physically he's not able to do the things he did back when he was in his 30s.
When he was in his prime.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, you have to be able to, you take away a person in their prime, right? They've done the 10 years. They've done their 5 years training and their 5 years of production. And let's move them out. Mm-hmm. Okay. And let's face it. Most alpha type people don't want change and they're thinking that they're the best of the best. But that's a lot of stress on a person.
Right.
Okay. So you take them out, you have a rotation, and you get the next generation in there who's just as good, but they don't ever get a chance because you've got someone camping out in a specialized unit.
Right.
And to me, and this is where this whole topic comes in, stuff that officers don't want to say but want to say, is motherfucker, get your ass out of that specialized unit. You've been there too long. Get the fuck out. Let somebody else have part of the cream of the crop, part of the fruit of the labor.
And the argument to or for, in my opinion, is what is the benefit? Is it to the citizen or is it to the officers?
Well, let's take the most complicated scenario.
The benefit has to be to the citizens.
Right. Dennis, you have to go. I'm a badass. I'm good. Yes, you are.
You're the Rambo.
Right.
Yeah.
You're Rambo. Right. But you're not going to be Rambo forever. We need to give a new Rambo. And we have to have someone in here to take your place eventually. Okay? We don't want a rookie Rambo coming in after you've done. And now they're going to be behind the curve. We want you here, get the new Rambo in, and then you're gone and they take your place within a regular rotation. And then what's the benefit of that? Well, the benefit of that is morale.
Right.
And the morale, if you have a let's call it a morale meter.
Yeah.
If the department has a better morale meter, that's going to affect the morale meter when you have more people able to go to these specialized units. So that's going to benefit the city. So that's your sales pitch to the city. Yeah, we're getting rid of this top dog. I'm getting another top dog, but we're going to keep the top dog here until the new top dog is trained.
Right.
I don't know how hard or why that's so hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the standard.
Right.
It's the way it's always been. Well, we're not going to worry about it until that person moves or retires or to the point where they're too old to do the job.
Right. I got to pee. So I'm going to pause it real quick.
Piss pause.
Yeah. So I'll be right back. We're talking about morale and specialized units.
It's basically things that officers want to say but don't want to say.
Right.
And that main point is, hey, get the fuck out of specialized unit. You've been there too long. Let's let somebody else do it.
Because part of patrol morale is just like any job. If you've done it for so long, what's the reward? Because we want more experience in patrol.
Right.
And to keep more experience in patrol, they need to have some sort of reward to want to stay there without promoting. Because once you start to promote, you start to lose people that could be really good into patrol life or the other aspects of specialized units.
I've had the argument with some highly trained narcotics and fugitive officers about rotation. Mm-hmm. And rotation is, hey, you've done your X amount of time and that's it, you're gone. We're putting more people in there. And they go, well, we're highly effective. Why would you get rid of someone who's good?
Which is a good argument.
Well, to a point.
Right.
It's like, okay, yeah, you are good. It is a good argument. But I feel, yeah, you're good, but we can find people just as good. And then we will improve morale. So now you've got the best of both worlds.
Right.
Then they go, well, you're just going to piss me off and I'm going to go to patrol and be pissed. And then to my point is, well, bitch, you signed up for protect and serve.
Yeah.
Get your ass out there and answer calls. Oh, and it comes to the point of just basically comfort. Mm-hmm. And I've done my time. Okay, you have done your time. And that's why I say if you have a rotation from the beginning, nobody gets to that point.
Right.
You should never get to that point where I've earned my time. I've done it. I don't have to be a cop anymore. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If you can defeat that argument,
yeah,
fine. But you can't fucking defeat that argument.
Right. And if you're going to stay at that rank as an officer, that's an expectation you should have.
Right.
That you need to still be able to function at the basic capacity of what you signed up for.
Right.
If you don't like it, promote.
Yeah.
If that is your argument, if you don't like it, then promote.
No, I'm not talking about investigative specialized units. Because basically, if you're in a general assignments, that's general assignments.
Yeah.
Right. And you're
explain in general assignments.
Okay, so you're promoted to a detective, investigator, whatever you want to call it. You get general assignments. You get the cases like burglary or theft or assault,
harassment,
little
stupid stuff.
Basic stuff. But then there's specialized units like robbery, homicide,
fraud.
Yeah. Stuff like that. Now, let's just go with homicide. Right? If you're a homicide detective and you're good at it, well, do you really want to move them out of there?
Right. And we're talking, now it's I shouldn't say it like this, but it isn't just about you and citizens when it comes to homicide. It's about the victim that doesn't have a voice anymore.
And you're not going back to patrol to share your investigative services for homicide.
Right.
If anything, you'd want to share your investigative skills with another investigative unit.
Yes.
Okay. But homicide is so specialized that sharing your skill with a general assignment detective. I mean, it's not going to help a whole lot.
Right.
You know, it's just, that's truly specialized.
Yeah.
I'm talking about specialized units with officer position.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes down to this. I'm good at this. Yes, you are. But we can have somebody else just as good as you in a specialized unit as an officer.
Yeah.
And now let's take your superior knowledge in whatever field it is, and let's put you back in patrol and share it. Now, you do your 2 or 3 years in patrol, and then you can go back into another specialized unit. I don't know how people can argue against that.
Yeah. I think the argument would be, if I were to try to make one, is going to be, well, that wasn't the standard. Now all of a sudden it is. So that's where the difficulty would come in, is when it's not a standard, but now it is.
So what do you call progress?
Yeah.
Maybe you realize that it's more beneficial to do it a different way.
Yeah. And the hard part's going to be is getting somebody to have the objectiveness and self-evaluation to look and say, is this a selfish decision, or is this a decision that best benefits those I swore an oath to? And if you keep it focused on, I swore an oath to this city, these people, whatever it is, this nation, as a military person, then it's easy. Okay, yeah, you're right. I kind of got focused on me, and I need to do what benefits the people I swore to.
Well, and I've pushed this, and that's why the argument of rotation versus no rotation has generated.
Mm-hmm.
What's the best for this, for the city you work for?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I make it to a point where I have a rotation and then I have a gap of experience? And the offset is I'm doing that because of morale? Or do I keep the way it's always been, just because this is the way it's always been?
Yeah.
I honestly believe, and this is my opinion, and I could be wrong, but I don't think it would hurt anything. I think it would just benefit a city more if you rotate those specialized units more. You're going to have a better morale, because eventually more people are going to have a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, I don't want to work patrol my whole career. I want to do something specialized. I mean, that's pretty much what most officers feel. I want to feel like I'm special, and I want to contribute. But if you have people milk, camp, retire from a specialized unit, then you're just limiting the number of officers that you have in your department to get a piece of that pie.
Yeah.
And that's just one opinion.
Yeah. And I can tell you from personal experience, working side by side with somebody who was in a specialized unit and drops back down to a basic position.
Right. Patrol.
Working around that person, even if they're not a trainer mindset. I'm a trainer mindset. Right. I love to share knowledge and give perspective and training. That's probably why I did this podcast, because I value perspective. So working around somebody that I know personally that had went from a specialized unit back down to a patrol capacity, or even in detective work that dropped back down to a basic detective capacity, their knowledge was, I mean, it's why I'm who I am because of them. Like McMeans.
What specialized unit was he in?
So like McMeans, he was narcotics. He was undercover narcotics. Just his experience as an officer into the investigative side. He's the best detective I've ever been around. And that.
Well, let me tell you something about him. He worked for me. Okay. And we have a similar story.
Mm-hmm.
I was in narcotics for 6 years as a supervisor. I
heard you didn't really supervise, but.
Well, I didn't have to. I had awesome officers.
They make you shine.
So I went from a rookie sergeant in patrol. I was making a lot of money in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And how we were making that money is we would have officers work undercover and make buys, and we would do search warrants. And I was making a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then go, hey, Sergeant Gilbert.
It paid for my braces.
Yeah. We need to send you to narcotics. I'm like, okay. And I made less money in narcotics at first because I was making so much in overtime and patrol with the situation we're in. Well, anyhow, I worked there for 6 years, and you get stuck in a routine, and
you get comfortable, and when you get good at something, and why wouldn't you want to stay there?
We excelled. I hated my supervisor. Hated.
Why?
Dickhead.
Now, is this a sergeant or is this
lieutenant?
It's a lieutenant. Okay.
I was a sergeant. They were lieutenant.
And the reason I ask is because, one, personally, I want to know what to avoid, and two, like, what are the things that are fucking it up?
They were, well,
you don't got to mention names, but
let me put it this way: when you pull up to work and you see their truck at the job site, you're like, "Fuck."
Okay.
And
I've been blessed. I haven't had that experience.
There were rumors that they had bipolarism.
Okay.
And you just never knew what you're going to get that day. And they were a workaholic too. Anyways, after 6 years, they transferred me back to patrol. I was like, what the fuck? I'm kicking ass. I'm taking names. We're
So you're the example of what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're improving numbers each year. Why are you getting rid of me? I never got an answer, and I don't know. But once I got put back in patrol, I was like, fuck, this is nice.
Yeah.
I'm not taking home work. I don't have all these responsibilities. And once 8 hours or 10 hours is done, we're done.
That's it.
We're done.
Yeah.
I have to worry about shit. It was great.
Yeah.
And then I studied for lieutenant, and all that stress came back. And so I get it. Once you go from a specialized unit that you've excelled at and you go back to patrol, you hear it a lot. Like, oh my God, this is so easy.
Yeah.
It's not stressful.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. McMeans and I, we've talked, we're, for those listening, we're coming up on where we're eligible to promote. We're
to sergeant.
So, we've noticed gaps in training and practice and and detective work.
What do you mean gaps?
There's a checks and balances that are new. They didn't exist when you were a detective.
Okay.
That sergeants of general assignment detectives now have a standard. Like, you're supposed to check and make sure your detectives are doing this, that, and the other, and following up on their cases.
Okay.
It's a checks and balances thing.
Okay.
So guys like McMeans, and I'm not even going to put myself in his category. He's 10 times the detective I am.
What makes him such a good detective? Tell the audience why he's so good.
Why he is so good is because he will follow up on leads in a way that I never considered. Like, let's say something small. I'll just say like a burglar of a motor vehicle. He will look into, and he's improved me, so I will look into it now this way, but I didn't think of it at the time when I became a detective. He will look at trends in the area. He will look at modus operandi, basically the way that these guys are breaking into these cars. You know, let's say it's a brick through the back window.
Right.
That's a weird way to break into a car, especially if it's happening.
He's keeping track of it.
He's keeping track of it. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, you know, for me, it's like a case by case basis where, okay, this guy broke into your car. How did he break in? Oh, he threw a brick through the back window.
Well, let me tell you my opinion of people like McMeans. There are some people who are just good at being a cop.
Yeah. He's that.
And he's that. Yeah. I've had, and nothing against McMeans. You know, I've heard bitches about McMeans. Mm-hmm. But it's probably because they feel inferior to him.
And I get that. I feel like an idiot. Like I'm a good detective.
So I worked with
But he's great.
I worked with this officer who was a shit magnet, always got in trouble. But he is an officer.
Damn dog.
The motherfucker knows how to work the streets.
Yeah.
And yeah, he may have been a shit magnet or a problem child.
Yeah.
But he made arrest. Nobody could deny that. Mm-hmm. He just happened to, you know, fuck up here and there.
Right.
But some people are just so good at being a cop. And I think McMeans is
he's that dude, yeah. I mean, we've been working together now as detectives. We promoted at the same time, you know, almost 3 years. In November, it'll be 3 years. And we'll be eligible to promote after that.
You know what about him and people like him? They thrive on this. They're eaten up with it.
Yeah.
They're consumed with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say to the point where it's negative, mm-hmm. but that's him.
Yeah.
I mean, as a rookie, I saw that, and where he was just answering calls, I saw that to where we would use him as, you know, we'd take him off answering calls to address, you know, certain issues, you know, trends.
I'll say this. I hope he is not listening because I don't want to deal with it. He's the best cop I've ever seen.
Now,
best cop.
I can see that. And I can see where people will bitch about it. And usually the people who bitch about it is because they
can't get to that level.
Well, I don't say they
skill wise.
I can't say they can't get to that level. It's more like they don't want to get to that level because of the basics procedure. For example, he takes the extra steps to get the job done, and most other people go like, bro, we got calls to answer. Let's get off that. Let's do this.
Right.
And
there's a requirement that everybody meets.
Right.
And he goes beyond that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I, you know, as a lieutenant and he was an officer, mm-hmm. he was the one that you knew if you had a problem, you gave him an assignment, he would do it right.
Yeah.
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 I mean, he's got props.
Yeah. I mean, I'll take credit for this part. He never heard of a Geofence Google warrant.
Right.
I put it on his radar. Only because I'm a nerd and I was looking up nerd shit. And, but he took it.
Are you sure you're my kid?
I know, right? He took it to a level that, now I'm learning from him. And matter of fact, we're going out tonight. his wife. And
really?
Yeah, we're gonna go out tonight.
Hey, give him a hug and reach around for me.
I will. Give him a little donut hole. And but I can't. If I could replicate one person, but we were talking. This is the point I was getting to. We're gonna promote at the same time, assuming we both pass. But his ethic when it comes to just general assignment, and we're talking about morale and staying in specialized units and stuff like that. General assignment, I don't know any better way to cut your chops as a detective. If you go to a specialized unit like CACU, crimes against children, family, domestic violence, those are great units. They have a great mission, but your skill level as a detective, I don't think will ever be more honed in than it would be in general assignment.
Well, you're limited. Like myself is a prime example. I went from an officer to a corporal in patrol to a detective in CACU.
Oh, you did patrol to corporal?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all I ever knew was how to investigate kid cases.
Oh, you didn't even do general assignment?
No.
What a bitch.
Well, I was a golden boy. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
The motherfucker said, "Hey, Fred, come to CACU." I'm like, okay.
That's because you was friends with Camper.
Yeah, it was. And they go, but we need you to go to family violence first, and then when the opening comes, we'll move you over. I go, fuck that. I said, family violence is the worst CIU unit ever because it's bullshit.
Right. Explain it. Like, okay, we know why as cops why, but
okay,
explain it.
A family violence unit detective investigates, like family violence offenses. Husband beats up on his wife.
Okay.
All right. The cooperation, the bullshit, the lies, it's so prevalent that you never know what you're going to get. And it's a miserable experience when it comes to investigating a crime.
Yeah.
Like you go to a patrol officer goes to a scene where they see a husband beat up on the wife and they arrest the husband for assault, family violence. And then it comes time for the investigation, and then the wife goes, well, no, he didn't really hit me, blah, blah, blah. And they were just trying to get the husband out of the trouble.
Right.
And it happens so much. And it's just a shitty unit. And even before you even know anything about investigating cases, you hear, oh, don't go to family violence. That's a fucked up unit. Yeah. That's what you hear.
Yeah. And it's not because, and I want to interject, it's not because it's not a righteous cause. It's just because more often than not, you are being used.
Used big time.
Yeah. Whether it's over a child custody or...
I just want him fucking out of here.
Yeah. Or a revenge thing or whatever it is.
So I knew that. I heard that. And they go, hey, let's move you to family violence for a couple of months or weeks or whatever. And we'll move you to CACU. I'm like, and then I'm not getting stuck in family violence.
Right.
You either want me in CACU or you don't. Mm-hmm. And I held my...
Which I don't know how the fuck you did that. I've had offers to go to CACU. And I have... This is my personal opinion. I've got 2 daughters. I don't know that I could mentally handle the type of crimes that happen against kids.
Well...
And be objective.
I can see that. I wasn't in your situation back then. Or you're in that situation back then.
Yeah.
But all I can tell you is this is there's not a better feeling than to help a victim of a kid.
I get that.
And that's the pros and cons of it.
But the objectivity, that's my problem. I would
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you this. Yeah. You feel that. For example, I had an officer I worked with. He was shot and killed in the park.
The officer?
Off duty. Yeah.
Really?
He was with his girlfriend at a park in the city. And some gangbangers came by and started shit with him. He was carrying. And there was a shootout. And
you never told me this story.
No, I haven't. And he was just there with his girlfriend at a little park, with a little pond. And I don't know if they were trying to rob him or just talk shit or do whatever.
Yeah.
Well, he was carrying, and he either displayed his gun or something, and then there was a shootout, or they came back and there was a shootout. Well, he ended up being killed that day. And
holy shit.
Yeah. So at that time, I was in the bike unit, an East Side bike unit. And a fugitive caught this guy, and they needed a transport to...
what year was this?
Shit. 93, 2, something like that.
The only point I'm trying to get to is, there's a stigma of police. You shoot a cop, you're...
Right.
We're just going to go kill you. We're talking 93.
So...
You guys didn't do that.
Right. So, fugitive found him, arrested him. Now I need to be taken to homicide to be interviewed. Well, I was the unit with my buddy to transport him to the homicide office.
Mm-hmm.
And this is my buddy that he killed.
You know him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm transporting him to the detective office. So we're got him in the car. We're traveling down the road to downtown.
Mm-hmm.
There was times when I just wanted to beat his ass.
Yeah.
Get my frustration out on him.
Mm-hmm.
This was an officer who I worked with daily or nightly. We worked midnights. And he killed him. He was my buddy. And I wanted to beat his ass, but I didn't, because I knew that wasn't
You made me cry.
We're all about.
Fucked up already just hearing this.
Yeah. And
I haven't faced this. This has never happened to me.
Okay. He wasn't my best friend, but he was my good friend.
And you worked with him daily.
Yeah, worked with him daily.
Yeah. I haven't faced that yet.
Yeah. And he was killed. It fucked us up.
Yeah.
And here it is where I am the unit that transports him to the homicide office so he can be interviewed. And the only time I really had a chance to really tune him up was in the elevator at 350. And it took a lot not to just tune him up.
God, I can't imagine.
Yeah. So, and what reason I bring that up is, it's tough, but you got to do your job.
Yeah.
And his name was Donnie Manning. And he was the shit talker of the unit. And
what unit was it?
It was Midnights, East Side.
So it was just patrol.
Patrol.
Yeah.
Ask Robin Cross about him.
Okay.
Robin and him were tight. And okay, here's I don't know, a sidetrack, but
it's okay.
Donnie, and he was the shit talker of the unit, and he was about this big. He was tiny. He was skinny. He didn't look like shit. He just what are you going to do? You're a skinny fuck.
Yeah.
But he talks shit, right? And there's another guy named Rick, and Rick and him would talk shit back and forth. And you know me, I'm an instigator, and I go, "Hey, Donnie, Rick said this about you." And he go, "Oh, fuck that motherfucker, blah, blah, blah."
Yeah.
So he's fun.
Yeah.
So, he's just that guy.
What were the circumstances behind
the shooting?
Yeah.
He was off duty, took his girlfriend to the park, and there was a little lake there, a pond, and he was just having a good time, just doing this and that, and the gangbangers drove up, and I think they were going to try to jack him. Okay. And he had a .45 with him and shot back, and East Side, that's probably 1991 ish.
Damn. So you were pretty fresh.
I was fresh.
Yeah.
Donnie was just a big shit talker, fun to be around, made work interesting.
Damn.
Yeah.
You dealt with a lot of shit at the beginning of your career.
Yeah.
I mean, between your shooting.
Dude, I don't know why. Yeah, there's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
The first couple of years. And I think, if it's going to happen, let it happen in the beginning.
Yeah.
To where you can deal with it better. I think you can deal with it better.
Yeah.
Because of your age.
Part of the thing that I look at too is, you go out, you handle a call, and you're out there with the salty vet, and you see how they don't get worked up.
Yeah.
They don't let the shit talking from the bad guy get them rattled, things like that. And I'm like, I don't know if it was my life experience prior to getting into law enforcement, because I didn't get in as early as you could.
Right.
But for whatever reason, I've never let what people I'm dealing with say, fuck with me. It doesn't bother me. But then when you get with somebody that has been doing the job for quite a while, and you see how they handle it, it just, for me, it was a reaffirmation, but it was also this guy never gets in any issues. He never gets any use of force. He never gets it. It's not that he's playing it safe. He just has figured out a way to do the job without issues.
I may get flack for this, but let's face it, 20 years of a cop is enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe 25. You're doing 30, it's the max.
Okay. Are you talking on patrol or are you in?
Period.
Any cop. Just in law enforcement.
In law enforcement.
Okay.
So I think it's just a thought that if you take the age requirement from 21 to say 26, 27, make it a little bit older before you can be a cop.
I'm a big fan of that.
I think it will decrease the issues you have with
excessive force and maturity and stuff like that. Yeah. Because if you would have asked me at 21 if I was ready to be a cop, I would have fucking told you yes. But if you were to ask me now, looking back, I don't think I was ready to be a cop until I was 25, 26.
Think of it this way. Officers who are prone for excessive force, attitude, typically as you get older, you have less of that.
Right.
So logically, it would say the odds are better if you start hiring at 26
right.
than 21.
Yeah.
Then you reduce those issues.
Yeah. And the argument against is, and I've worked with them, is I've worked with some fucking damn good 21, 22, 23-year-olds that have the maturity. They have the job knowledge. I'll call him out. One of the guys that I can talk about that I trained, his name's Rovell.
Okay.
The kid was just, he did the explorer stuff. His nickname's Captain America. I mean, he's a definition. He's a professional. Yeah, but that's few and far between.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be exceptions, but in general, the older you get, the more mature you get.
Yes.
I mean, that's just basics.
If I were to make a call, if somebody were saying, Levine, you've got the decision, I would say minimum 25 years old.
Yeah, I would agree.
Minimum.
And
because you've gotten out of the high school phase. You may have went in the military, you may have went to college, you may have went just into general, work environment. But at 25, you've developed some sort of life experience that's legit.
Let's face it, things that piss us off back when we were 20s may not piss us off now.
Right.
Okay, so that's going to, you can apply that to police work.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
And the thing that I like to focus on is big picture stuff. Like for me, I've never been in a true fight with somebody that's just high on weed. But I've been in a knockdown drag out with people that have been drunk on alcohol.
Right.
So I get somebody that I pull over and get a distinct smell of weed. Is that the criminal I'm going after?
Yeah.
When it comes to society. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But it's that perspective and experience level through your personal experience, life experience, or your police professional career that you can start making those types of decisions where I don't want to say I look back with regret, but I can recall tickets I've wrote, cases I've made where I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't have done that today. I wouldn't have put a case on this person with the perspective I have today versus when I first started the career. Yeah. I wouldn't have wrote a ticket versus today where I'm at. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's where I think the age level and stuff like that really comes into play. And it's not to discredit anybody that's,
we're playing it. This is my point. You're going to play averages, play it safe.
Yeah.
Why not move the age limit or minimum requirement to 25 plus?
To be a cop.
Yeah. Why not?
I'm okay with it.
And think about it. Say you're 18. You graduate. You go to college. Minimum 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're 22. Okay.
I got to do that on my fingers. Yeah, 22.
Okay. Or say you go into service. Minimum 4 years.
Yep.
You're 22. So if you add those extra years, say 3 to 4 years, now you're adding that life experience.
Yeah.
You're out of the military, you're out of school, you're getting life experience.
Yeah.
I mean, what career has more to do with life experience than police work?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you've never smoked a joint, if you've never been drunk,
I've never smoked a joint.
If you never, there are certain things about life.
Have you?
Oh yeah. There's never life.
I was there when you.
Yeah.
Retired.
But what I'm getting at is,
I get you.
Can you relate to? The more experience you have, the more you can relate to it.
Yes.
So, I mean, do you want to take a 21-year-old green, wet behind the ear person to be a cop?
Right.
I don't think that's the best thing to do.
I don't either. I agree.
If it was me, this is the easy way out. I would say, hey, you want to be a cop? You graduate, go to college, or you do some military, or you just wait till you're 26 years old to where we start hiring you.
Yeah. And I will tell you as a person, and it doesn't mean I'm right. I want to put that out there. It doesn't mean my perspective is right. But as a person who did the military, and I did it a little later than most people. Right. I didn't do it at 18. Yeah. I did it at 23.
Right.
My life perspective in the military didn't adequately or equally prepare me for regular civilian life. It did help. Mm-hmm. I will admit that it did help. It was it helped me get and become the person that I am, but it isn't the same as if you went out in life in the general population, from let's say you didn't do college, and if you were 18 to 22 in the working world, that is that is more realistic to me than what I incurred in the military.
It's not a given that the older you are, the better you'll be at, but it's safe to say that overall, the older you are, when you become an officer, the better. And I'm not saying you're 45,
right.
Realistically,
21 is too early.
You can be an officer at 21, and you can be a successful officer at 21. But let's just, law of averages and logic is, the more life experience you have, the better you are able to handle that type of work.
Right. It's just like, to me, to being a doctor or an attorney.
Right.
You don't do 4 years of college and you're a doctor.
Right.
You do 8 years minimum. You do your clinicals. And then by the time you're really into the profession, how old are you?
Yeah.
and you're talking about a job, a career that is the same type of expectation. And this is where the real conversation starts, is a cop a blue collar worker, or is he a white collar worker? In my opinion, with the amount of training you want, there's nobody that's required more training than a cop.
Yeah.
Because a doctor doesn't even have the type of annual and semi-annual and monthly requirements.
You know what'll fuck you up is you have to be more qualified to be a cop than to be the president of the United States.
Right. Right.
That should shut everybody up.
Yeah, but it won't.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you want to get a general perspective, that was a kid that was bullied in high school, and he just wants to, or bullied in school, and he wants to have an authority complex.
Well, here's another thought. You can be a cop anywhere if you can fit the qualifications.
Right.
Right.
And the culture and whatever they're looking for. Yeah.
And where do most of the problems come from?
The hood.
Well, yeah.
What are you getting at?
Well, what I'm getting at is, why do people think that cops are such bullies?
Because of the outliers?
Majority of the officers in the United States are small departments.
Right.
Okay.
10 officers or less, 82%.
Right.
Ish.
And where do they get their officers from? Bubba down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Not to say Bubba down the street can't do the job, but logic tells you that, they're not going to be logic will tell you, and logistics will tell you, they're not going to be the cream of the crop.
Right.
And they're going to cause problems, and they're going to cause issues. And then the stigma comes from, they're just badge heavy, heavy-handed. They think that they're, going to be the, how do you say this? They're badge hungry. Badge, what's that term? Been a while. Where they believe that they're the baddest of the bad because they got a badge.
Okay.
So,
I'm not sure which term you're referring to.
Yeah, there's a term.
Yeah.
I lost it. Anyways, you get those, and then the next thing you know, we're all labeled that way.
Yeah.
In reality, we're not. And to the regular citizen, you're gonna feel that we are, assholes.
Yeah,
douchebags, dickheads. And I think that if you raise the age of the minimum age to 25, 26, you have less of that.
Yeah.
I honestly do.
And I think...
think about it. When you retire, you want to retire at an age where you're still somewhat competent of doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy life. If you do 25 to 55, that's perfect for this type of work.
Mm-hmm.
I almost did that. I wasn't hired on until I was 26.
Yeah.
So I retired at 56. So, that's perfect because I did my time. I'm in a profession that, you don't want to have old fucks doing the job. You want to have people that can just physically do the job.
Right. At least at the officer level.
Yeah. Right. And, at least at the officer level. In my case, I can honestly say that I kept myself to a point where I could still do a patrol person's duties because of my age and my health, and the mental tax of being in this type of work. I mean, do you really want to work more than 30 years at this type of work?
Yeah.
I would say that, like the military, you don't want to put the military people, they want to work more than 20 years. I mean, defending the country.
Especially with the physical taxation. It's, I understand as police, we have a gun belt, we have a vest, all that shit.
Yeah, I would say even more so than the military, because the military, you can go centuries without a conflict.
True.
But you got to be ready. But with police, you're always in a conflict.
Yeah, day in, day out.
Day in, day out. So why not minimize that? Say, look, 20 years is enough.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Get the hell out. It's beneficial for everybody.
Right. And the more incentive you give towards that position, the more of the qualified people that you're looking for are going to go after that job.
And just mere numbers. And if I was going to ask you, how long can you give me 100%? Right?
Yeah.
If I say, can you give me 100% 20 years? Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Right?
More realistically, I would say 10 years.
Okay. Yeah. But if you're going to work 30, 35 years, then that just diminishes the averages of you doing a good work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, the public demands perfection from the police. Yeah. Well, that should factor in.
Yeah. And I think if you're going to, one, have that demand, and two, have that drive for 30 years or whatever, 20 years, let's say, you need to give the freedom, the incentive for somebody to stay at the most basic level. And what I mean by that is, if I'm going to be a patrol officer, you need to make being patrol the most enticing position.
Right.
Because if you don't, I'm going to promote as fast as I can because I don't want to be in patrol. And patrol is the backbone of what we do.
So, piggybacking on that, if you're a 10-year veteran, right? You're either patrol or you're a sergeant. Let's just say sergeant.
Yeah.
The pay should be the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
The pay should be the same.
Yeah. Because I need as a citizen, and me as a patrol officer, whether let's say I'm a new officer,
right?
I need a guy like that with me,
right?
Because how am I going to learn?
Right. Yeah. I think that's a good point.
Yeah. You need to have some sort of incentive for somebody to want to be that 10-year, 15-year, 20-year patrol officer versus being that 5-year, 10-year sergeant.
I get it.
Yeah.
So you've left patrol to manage 10 to 20 officers somewhere else.
Yeah.
Are you really that much better for my city than this 10-year officer who's kicking ass and taking names?
Yeah. How do you incentivize both? Because the way it is now, the only incentive is to promote.
Yeah. Well, that's the proof in the pudding right there. Yeah. I don't want to fuck with these people anymore. I want to promote. Okay. You promote, but you're still making the same as this 10-year officer who's putting his or her life on the line for the citizens.
Yeah. I don't know what the answer is.
Man, that puts it into perspective. What do you want?
Yeah.
Do you want to serve the public and answer calls, or do you want to be an administrator and be a supervisor?
And I'm more of, I think that is if you want to have a citizen review board for use of force, if you're trying to make the citizens more a part of the department and the decision making, which seems to be the trend, that's a question I want them to answer. Because I think I know the answer. You're going to want the same incentive for your 10-year officer versus your person that's trying to promote. I almost think I want to leave that decision in the hands of the citizens.
Well, let's face it. Some of the motivation to promote is to get out of answering calls.
Yeah, which is understandable. I don't disagree with that.
But just because you want to get out of answering calls, does that make you a leader?
Not necessarily. But you need to have, and you're always going to play that. It's always going to be a balance. You're going to have those that are book smart and ready to promote. But at the same time, if patrol is truly your backbone, like every department tries to claim, you need to incentivize those that are going to stay there to stay there. Because there's nothing like your Johnny Coxes out there. I know everybody listening doesn't know who a Johnny Cox is, but this is a dude that is going to stay in patrol his entire career. He is the example as a trainer and training new troops, and is just what I consider the perfect mold. If you're going to mold a patrol officer, this is the dude.
Right.
So you got guys like Johnny Cox out there who he has no intentions of promoting. He's been in patrol 15, 20, 25 years. I don't know what he's been out there, but he's been there, and he handles fucking calls, and he trains new officers, and that is what you want. I don't want that guy to promote because he loves what he's doing.
Yeah.
How do I keep him there?
Well, you keep him there because he wants to be there.
Right. but I need to reward him. He deserves to be paid.
Oh, that's where, well, of course, that's the problem with most city employees or county employees. They usually have a pay system that doesn't reward people like him.
Right. Right now, the way that the trend nationwide is you need to promote. There's no incentive to stay in patrol.
I think, that's something I haven't delved into, but when you get situations like people like Johnny Cox, people who are more beneficial to stay as a patrol officer and want to be a patrol officer, there should be a way where they're not maxed out on a standard system. Like currently the system where we both worked is, there's a pay step. You can only make so much money.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there should be a system to where, like, okay, people like Johnny Cox, you're exceptional, so we need to recognize that, and we don't. And that's why and this is why I thought of this topic was stuff officer want to say but don't say, is you can be a Johnny Cox and I could be the lazy fuck. We're still making the same money.
Yeah.
I mean, why? That's not fair.
That ain't fair.
Not fair at all. And
if you focus it towards citizen expenditure or citizen benefits, which is who we're fucking working for, how is that fair to the citizen?
We used to joke about, hey, what if we got paid by the amount of calls we answered? Hey, I answered 20 calls, you answered 5.
Yeah.
Why do we get paid the same?
Yeah.
You didn't write any reports. You didn't make any arrests. You're just good at fucking around.
Yeah. But the argument would be, well, you're in a busier beat.
Right.
Yeah, I get both sides.
So,
yeah.
It's just the easiest way to deal with it.
Yeah.
Is just to pay for everybody the same.
Okay. So we've talked about, we've talked about morale, specialized units, admin. The only thing we got left really is testing and promotions.
Okay.
So we're at 2 hours and 45 minutes. So I think in the next 15 to 30 minutes, we can tackle that.
Okay. Here's my issue with promotions. You can test for the next promotion. Let's just say you test for sergeant. Just because you pass a test doesn't mean you're capable of being a leader.
A leader, yeah.
And at least where we came from, that's all you need to do is pass a test to be a supervisor.
Yeah.
A sergeant. I disagree with that.
I have a fix, but keep going.
Well, I mean, just because you can memorize material.
Right. You're a good test taker.
And recall it, be a good test taker. You can be a sergeant.
Yeah.
A supervisor.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Here's my fix for that.
What's your fix?
Because instead of bitching about a problem, I've got a solution. My solution is much like the Army's not the smartest branch of the military, but they have a really good system when it comes to promotion.
Which is?
So let's say you're going to be a sergeant. Not only do you get reviewed by a panel of your peers, you get reviewed by people you have previously worked with.
Okay.
So let's say you're going to be a sergeant in patrol. You tested. You passed the test, which is the book smart way.
Right.
Now we're going to do a review panel. Not only are we going to interview you, the person that's trying to promote, we're going to have a line of questions that say, we're trying to assess your level of leadership. I'm going to go talk with teams you've worked on. So, Freddie Gilbert, you've worked with this You were on this team as a peer. You didn't lead these people. You all worked together. Now I'm going to go interview those people and get kind of like a 360 review of how you work. And it's going to show, it's my job to assess whether these people are just bitter because you were a hard worker and they're jealous, or you were on that team for, a year, 2 years, and you didn't do shit. You did the bare minimum and you made your team do the brunt of the calls or whatever it is. But that is a 360 assessment I'm going to get.
Right.
And that is how promotion should be. It shouldn't just be solely based on your ability to test. It's a small part. I think it is a portion of how you should promote.
I think what you're saying is, if you want to be a supervisor, a sergeant, then you have to pass the basic exam. Mm-hmm. And then once you pass the basic exam, then we have to evaluate the other factors of how you worked with other people and what they say, and and see if you should be a leader.
Yes.
I agree with it.
I think that's the most fair way and well-rounded way to do it. Versus you're book smart.
I think that, the only problem you'd have to overcome is a personality competition.
And that's only going to be, if you're on a team of 5 to 8 people, let's say, you're only really going to,
I have worked with people who couldn't pass those. I couldn't pass the personality.
But they're a fucking great leader.
No, what I'm getting at is, they passed the test.
Okay.
But they wouldn't get the approval of being a leader from their peers.
Right.
Or their team that they work with.
And to me, too bad, so sad.
I would say make it a 50-50 portion.
Yeah.
Where you've passed the test and you got 50%, but you've got to pass the other portion of the, you got to get a certain percentage of recommendations from your
coworkers, peers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that's a big part because, you can fake it till you make it when it comes to testing. But if you have worked for the past 1, 2, 3 years with a team, that should be a factor.
There's a lot of truth to, if everybody is saying there's something wrong with you, there's some truth to that.
Yeah, I agree.
If 1 or 2 are saying it, yeah, okay, whatever. But the majority of people saying fuck him.
Yeah.
Then obviously you have people issues.
Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah, I agree. So we're coming close to wrapping up. We're at 2 hours and 50 minutes. Okay. But as a leader, as somebody who has supervised for multiple years, what would be your last stand as far as to be a good leader?
There's only so much you can do as a supervisor. You have your limits. You can't promise a whole lot. You can't change a whole lot because you're just not in a position to do that. Especially if you're not the chief or assistant chief, there's only so much you can do. You have to be able to pick your battles of what you can and cannot do to motivate your troops. What comes to mind with me is your troops have to do the basics. They have to follow the rules and regulations, right? If they follow the rules and regulations and then they ask for something more, then you got to give them something more.
Yeah.
If they don't, then they're not. They're stagnant. anybody can answer calls and make reports. How do you make that patrol function fun?
Yeah.
You got to figure out what they want and what they want to do. But the only way you know what they want and what they want to do to make work more fun is to interact with them. And when you interact with them, they communicate with you and they start talking about stuff that makes work fun. So if you can't communicate with them, you can't relate to them, then you'll never know what makes work fun. That's the hardest part. You got to be able to be approachable and to figure out what makes work fun. And then once you find out what makes work fun, is try to do everything you can do to make that happen. Of course, there's a lot of things you can't do, but you do as much as you can. And this is the biggest thing, once you build that relationship with your troops and they feel comfortable with you coming forth, you're going to have a certain percentage of officers. They don't want nothing to do with you. They just want to answer calls and go upon their business. Then you have the few that want to expand and have more of a impact and just do more of the answer calls. And we're talking patrol position here. Those are the ones you have to recognize and open up to, be approachable to. And once they gain your trust, they're gonna naturally say, "Hey, I have an idea."
Yeah.
And you can't dismiss every idea. You have to entertain it.
Yeah.
Even if it's bullshit. Okay, well. And then be honest about, that's not going to work, or it will work, but it may work if. And then use your experience to try to adjust it. And if you show them that, whatever they're trying to do outside just answering calls is important, and you buy off on it, if you do whatever you can to make them successful at it, then you've won the game.
Yeah.
You've reached loyalty. You've reached buy-in.
Yeah.
And that, I would say, is the most important aspect of being a leader is knowing that you've got people underneath you that may have good ideas.
Yeah.
Or that may know more than you.
Yeah.
Just because you took a test and you're promoted doesn't mean you're the smartest person in the room.
So I got one final question, just from your experience, because this is the part that I struggle with even as a future leader. Like I'm cutting my chops right now as a leader, an unofficial leader, but soon enough I'm going to be a sergeant and all that stuff. So how do you know what battles to fight versus which ones to let fade? How do you know? What are you using? Because to me, and this is me looking at the future, like, and even some of the stuff I've dealt with already, I want to defend my guys almost no matter what. Almost. Not, some stuff I'm just like, dude, you need to keep a perspective. Like, you're in a specialized unit. This is a privilege of what we get to do. We could be punching 10-8 any day. So keep that in mind. But as a leader, as a person who's been a sergeant and a lieutenant, like, how do you know what is worth, falling on the sword for?
Well, I think that's easy to answer. I mean, people come to you, the officers come to you and say, this is the issue. You either agree or you don't.
Okay.
If you agree with it, then I'm not going to bullshit you. Like, yeah, I agree with you. Let's think about this. You have to pick your battles.
Right.
I mean, that's obvious.
Yeah.
If you know that if you bring up ABC, that it won't be receptive, well, you just kind of spinning your wheels. But you still have to have conviction. If you're still right, you're right. I'm not saying you buck the system, but you try to find that happy medium to where you're not pissing off the chain of command, but you're still accommodating your troops.
Yeah.
And they know that. They know you're taking that risk of you're pushing the limit. As long as you're honest with them and say, no, that's fucked up. That's not going to work. And you explain to them why. And it's not worth the fight. You have to be willing to stand by your decision.
Right.
If they come up with a valid proposition and you're like, yeah, I agree with you, but you can't get buy-in from the chain, well, what do? You just say, well, you're fucked. Or you go, this is just my leadership style was, yeah, they said no, but they didn't say no about this. Let's do this.
Okay.
Until we get busted. And then we'll stop.
Yeah.
And then shit like that just builds morale. So
even when morale would be crushed otherwise.
Right.
Because of good leadership.
Right.
Okay.
So now, McMeans. He would come up to me and go, hey, I'm going to do this. And usually it's like, okay, go do it. Do whatever you want to do. And he would do it. He would get it done.
Yeah.
If it came to where it was questionable, we would talk about it. And if it was a risk we both want to take, I was like, all right, do it. But if shit hits the storm, shit hits the fan, I'm going to say this. And then it would cover him. And I would take the heat for it, not him.
Right.
And that's what, if you're going to take the risk falls on the supervisor. And every time, you can't allow something to happen to where the officer, no matter what, gets fried.
And the supervisor gets a slap on the wrist.
Right. Well, or gets fired or whatever.
Right.
And of course, hopefully you know enough about how not to get fired.
Yeah.
You're not going to authorize an officer to do something stupid.
Yeah.
I guess in a nutshell, you want to take risk for your officers, but not unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
As long as they know you're taking a risk for them,
mm-hmm.
I think they'll be content.
Yeah. If you believe in it morally and ethically,
right.
you might as well back them up.
Mm-hmm.
I get you.
Okay. It's where you get the officers the supervisors who are afraid to take that uncomfortable zone. Like, well, and then your officers who work hard for you, like, what's the worst? Well, why should we try?
Yeah. Play it safe.
Yeah, play it safe. That's perfect.
Well, all right. All right, old man. We're at basically 3 hours.
No, fuck. We've been here 3 hours.
Yeah. It's a good combo, though.
Yeah.
I think we did good. I think people will like this one. Especially, the LEO side. But it's a good perspective for citizens as well. So.
Yeah. The only thing I would say towards the citizens that law enforcement today is in a transition. y'all have to decide what do y'all want. Right now, it's a conundrum of where do we want our officers to kick ass and take names, or to be kinder, gentler,
rehabilitative versus enforcement. Yeah.
And if you're tired of unlawfulness, then you may have to consider of it being more of a kick ass and take names type of enforcement.
Yeah.
You can't have both.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah. And you can't expect your officers to have the same training as a psychologist versus having the same training as a sociologist or whatever other training you want. Because at the end of the day, a cop's job, in my opinion, is to enforce the laws that we have on the books.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not the officer in uniform's fault of a certain law.
Right.
They know that whatever law it's in the books that's against the law, they're going to enforce it.
Yeah. Discretion is a beautiful tool.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if they enforce a law that's in the books, it's not on the officer. It's on the law that was in the books. If you don't agree with it, have it changed.
In my opinion, the way we're at in society today is they expect the officer to be infallible to where they don't make mistakes.
All right.
But where do you get your officer from?
Yeah.
Society.
Yeah.
We're human. We're going to make mistakes.
Try not making mistakes in any job.
Yeah.
We make mistakes in every job that's out there.
Why don't we hear the same outcry with surgeons?
Right. How many people have died at the fault of a surgeon who didn't do anything intentional? It just
fucked up. Yeah.
But you have the same expectations for a job that nobody can really put a number on it. They can't tell if being a cop is a blue collar job or a white collar job. If you look at the training that's involved, it's beyond a white collar job.
I may be a dinosaur.
Yeah, you're old as fuck.
I may be out of touch, but it's to the point where, what was that Jack Nicholson movie, A Few Good Men?
Mm-hmm.
Where
you need me on that wall. You want me on that wall.
He pushes him and pushes him. And, yeah.
You want the truth?
You think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're human.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of fuck ups. That's just what we are.
Yeah. In general, society.
Yeah. You need someone who can keep all that in check.
Yeah.
And you can't keep it in check with kind and gently
hugs and puppies.
I'm
with you. It's a part. It can't be all.
Right. It's a part.
Yeah.
It works for some. It doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
And
it should be a case by case basis.
Society needs to realize that.
Yep.
That piece of shit just needs a bullet in the head.
Oh, you can't say that.
Why not?
Nobody deserves to die.
Can you honestly say that?
No. But I also agree that my perspective can't be the only way.
Let me just say it this way. Everybody deserves a chance to survive.
Yeah.
They deserve a chance. A chance.
Yes.
But if that chance is
presented?
No. If that chance is ignored, or if that chance is not accepted, what do you do?
Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying. You know, especially as a dad. Like, I think of any crimes against my kids. Like, my gut reaction is like, fuck them.
Well, here's my point. You commit a crime, right? And you're caught dead to rights, and you give up. Okay, fine. You you serve your sentence. You do your time. But if you commit that crime and you're going to at all costs try to get away from
go down swinging.
Then you deserve what you get. And sometimes that's a bullet to the head. That's what I mean.
I understand what you mean.
That's what I mean.
So I would prefer, even, I don't want to have, me personally, I don't want to have to take a life if I don't have to.
And who
if I can avoid it,
Nobody I don't think there's, well, I'm sure there are some, but nobody out there in law enforcement wants to just put someone down just because they want to put someone down. Or because they feel that, what they did was so heinous. No, but you realize you are committing a certain crime and you feel that, fuck it, I'm going to resist arrest with deadly force. Well, okay. If you think you are justified in resisting with deadly force, well then, I think a bullet to the head is justified.
I'm the only point I'm getting at is like, me personally, I don't want to take a life ever, hopefully. But if you put me in the position that I need to make that decision, you're going down. Like, I'm coming home. That's just the way it's going to be. You personally got put in that position.
Well, the sad thing, in my opinion, the sad thing about that is society feels that you should be trained enough to where you don't have to take a person down.
Well, they can think that all they want, but even if I lose my position, lose my job, I'm the one that's got to live with it at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, if I make that decision and I'm happy with it, not happy, but okay with it.
You know what tells me that we're always on the right side of this is this. The average person who's not a criminal, is a citizen, right? But once they're a victim of a violent crime, personal crime, not property crime, they start asking what's the best way to defend themselves.
Right. Open to the concept of having a weapon.
Yeah.
Open to the concept of some martial art.
Yeah.
Things they were closed off to prior to that.
I had a family member, liberal, anti-gun. Why does anybody need a gun? Wasn't a victim of a personal crime, but their front door was kicked in.
Violated.
Yeah. And it wasn't even truly kicked in. It was a situation where someone was doing a prank and took a Christmas ornament, Santa Claus, picked it up and threw it at their door, and it kicked open their door. It's just a prank.
Yeah.
And no one was trying to kick in the door, but it appeared to be a home invasion type deal. You know what that liberal person asked me? Family member?
Something about getting a gun?
Hey, what kind of gun should I get? I said, you shouldn't get any fucking gun because you're anti-gun.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
You know what?
I agree with you. I've dealt with a lot of people who've been victims that never fathomed having a gun. And the minute they become a victim of a violent crime or
until you can
personal invasion,
that no bad guy has a gun, leave me alone.
Yep.
America.
All right, old man. Let's wrap it up. I'm glad you came out. It's been a good episode.
Yeah, I hope you get a little bit of footage from this.
I do too. I'm excited to have you on more regularly, though, so we can start tag teaming. I think you can present some good questions to people I have on here. So,
well, I think would be interesting to have for lack of a better term, old school, new school.
Yeah. I agree.
Opinions.
Yeah.
And there's always room for improvement. And you know me, I'm not so hard headed to where you can't change my mind.
Yeah. You've always been like, if I present a good argument, you're like, okay. I hadn't thought about it that way. So it's, and I'm the type of guy that I'd be like, you're full of shit. And you tell me the same thing. So I think it'd be good.
Yeah, I do too. I think you might have to change that picture up there.
Get some of the
That's
mustache.
gonna be bad.
I could do that. That won't be bad.
Yeah.
We'll see how much they charge me for it. But all right, let's wrap this up. Thanks for being on, old man.
All right.